Looking back on the week that was and forward to the week ahead. It's the Fantasy Football Hustle. Here are your hosts, Brian Drake and Dwain McFarland.
Hey, good morning out there across the fantasy football universe. It's the Fantasy Football Hustle. Brian Drake from FightingChanceFantasy.com, joined alongside my man Dwain McFarland of PFF and Establish the Run. It's a little early here, Dwayne, on a Saturday, 10 a.m. where I am, 9 where you are, man. How's it going on this Saturday morning?
Oh, man, I'm happy to be on and be talking football, but yeah, we didn't get home till like 2:30 last night from moving Canton in at Tech, so I'm pretty exhausted.
Oh, man. Well, the reason we're here, folks, is we're doing the Kings Classic Draft. This is something that I got into last year. It's a ton of big-name guys from all across the industry. And you can see here on YouTube, if you're watching along with us, we've got the draft board up. It's on CBS. I'll be honest, it's not the greatest setup right here. We're trying to find a better way to present it to you, in terms of a draft board, and we just can't seem to find that right now. As you can see, I'm trying to flip around here. But either way, it's a 14-team league. I have the 10th overall pick. Dwayne's going to ride co-pilot here and, do his analyst role, kind of tell me what's good, what's wrong. It starts quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 3 flexes, and a tight end. So a lot of big name guys in this. Gary Davenport from Draft Sharks, Mike Tagliere, Family Ships Pros, Marcus Grant, Darren Armani, Chris Prince, Jake Seeley. So tons and tons of good guys. We're going to have 1 or 2 pop in as we go through the draft here. The draft has started. I have the 10th pick. And let me see if I can get rid of hidden players. So I'm about 4 picks away. So I'm sure there's a lot of you out there. You're getting into your fantasy drafts now. And you're trying to prepare. And you're like, oh, man, I got to catch up. So hopefully today helps you out as we start to get on the road to fantasy drafts. Anything crazy you've seen come off the board so far, Dwayne, or with this setup, it's just too damn hard to tell?
I haven't even seen who's come off the board, Greg.
Draft results by team, by round. Okay. Let's see. So we'll start off McCaffrey, Barkley to Mike Tagliere, Marcus Grant went Alvin Kamara, Zeke to Ron Rigney of Fantrax. Our buddy Darren Armani took Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the 1-5, and then Delvin Cook at the 1-6 to Chris Prince from Roto Grinders. Miles Sanders off the board to Dynasty League Football. Let's see. So I got to try to catch up here. I got my own little cheat sheet that I'm rolling with. Dwayne's got his tiers in front of him. So I'll be up in about 2 picks. Guys on the board currently, Michael Thomas, Derrick Henry,
Kenyon Drake.
I don't like the way this set up at all. So, Dwayne, before we even got on, you saw this 14-team setup, and you were like, well, forget quarterback and tight end. That's just going to, let that fly.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Don't get me wrong. I would never rule out the tight end. We've talked about it. But at the same time, position scarcity is going to be, it's going to be pretty insane. We already know what it looks like in normal drafts to be trying to go running back, in the 3rd and 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds in a 12-team. So it's going to be even more crazy here. And again, you don't want to force players you don't like, but we've been talking about a few guys that you like down here for a while. You've got Kenyon Drake. I would also be very willing to take Derrick Henry if he made it to me here. I did move Derrick Henry up a little bit. I put him just ahead of the, path to utilization, but unproven tier. I moved him 1 tier above that in my rankings just because, and I'd already written it in the article, but just because I'm pretty certain that he's going to have a shot to get, some of that receiving work, and then having Evan come on and say the same thing just kind of cemented it for me where I was like, okay, if Evan's feeling the same way, he's a smart dude. And that's the cool thing about, working with all these awesome people and getting to hear other smart people. I moved Henry ahead. So I feel like if you can get Drake or Henry, and then here's the other deal, dude.
Henry just went off. I'm on the clock right now with 49 seconds to go.
So did Kenyon Drake go or no?
No, Drake. So was Mixon.
Did Michael Thomas go?
Just went 2 picks before. Thomas, Henry. Now I'm up.
You do. This is your draft.
I'm taking Kenyon Drake.
That's who I would take.
I don't like Joe Mixon as
That's
much. So I'm going to take Kenyon Drake. So we took Kenyon Drake.
Drake goes with the Drake.
Mixon. I think Mixon's good. I don't know. I think there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense now.
But I think
it was an anomaly where they were just pounding the ball down his throat, and it really inflated his numbers. And
I feel like we've broken down Mixon, on the show at least 10 times. Mm-hmm. So I mean, people should know. Look, we don't know if he's going to get the passing work. There's coach speak around it. It's gonna still be a very bad offensive line. And as much as we love Joe Burrow, that's still a rookie quarterback. You're still trying to improve. So look, we like Joe Mixon, the runner. He's a good running back. But, he's not in a great situation. And I think, Kenyon Drake could be in a situation where he's going to get more out of his touches, in my opinion.
All right. So after I took Kenyon Drake, Jake Seeley of The Athletic takes Nick Chubb. Then Doug Orth from Fantasy Football Today takes Devontae Adams. Finally, there's Joe Mixon to Dennis Clausen, fellow Syracuse guy. Roto Baller. He takes him at the 13th overall pick. I was at the back half of this draft last year, man, and I tell you, it was tough. And instead of taking Michael Thomas, and I think coming around in round 2, I was so worried about position scarcity that I pushed it with another running back and missed out on Michael Thomas's big season. But, that happens in these big drafts, Dwayne. You start getting a little jumpy.
You just have to be balanced still with it, right? You have, to your points, and we talked about it a second ago, the position scarcity does become, an even bigger thing, but never, you still have to have the tipping point. What's the tipping point of where it's not, it's still not the right decision, to go ahead and go with the running back just because of this position scarcity. It isn't like your list should expand by like 15 running backs that you're going to take over receivers now. It means it extends by, maybe 4 or 5 players. And so you're still looking at your tiers. You just don't want to be irrational. The other thing is, nobody had Michael Thomas as the wide receiver 1 in all of fantasy football last year, to be fair to you.
Yeah, I think he came off the board. He might have been like the 3rd or 4th wide receiver at that point. It wasn't as running back heavy as this year.
So Josh Jacobs went. Who else is gone? Because I can't.
Josh Jacobs. Tyreek Hill was the last pick off the board to Mike Wohlert from 4 for 4.
Okay.
So I've got the screen. Let me take a look at how we're doing this. Can you see it here when I'm sharing the screen?
Yeah, I see the screen. Is it up to date?
Yes.
So Kittle just went.
As you can see, folks, if you're watching on YouTube with us, and this may be a YouTube exclusive, we'll see. You'll see on the right side here where my cursor is, you'll see George Kittle just went off the board, Tyreek Hill. So those are who just went off. And then you'll see the best available players in the middle of the screen. For some reason, CBS doesn't want to give us a total grid. But whatever.
Yeah, CBS, you've got to get with it. Unless we're doing this wrong, Drake, this is terrible software.
Yeah, look, I'm looking around. You can go to it by draft order. It just goes by team, as I have it popped up here on the screen. So it just kind of grids you what people have.
Yeah, but not being able to have the draft board. I mean, every good website's been doing that for 10 years.
Yeah. All right, we're on deck here. So Aaron Jones just went off. He was going to be a target of mine. I'm on the clock. Okay, so
Kelsey's gone.
Yeah, Eckler, Julio, and then let's look at the top running backs available here. According to my board, Eckler, Gordon, Connor, and then you got Julio, DeAndre.
I think that's it. You just stop your conversation right there. Mm-hmm. It's Eckler, Julio, or DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah,
and I don't blame you if you go ahead and grab the running back here. I have those guys all within 20 to 30 points of each other. And in that range, in a 14-man league, my confidence is still high enough in Eckler that I'm going to go with the position scarcity. But it's up to you.
With Eckler, what worries me is, they're going to be a pound it, slow it down offense. Can he hold up?
He's not going to get all those. He's only going to get about 150 carries, Drake, and he's going to get about 120 targets. So how do you feel about it?
That's really what it is. It's can he catch the balls? If Herbert comes in, is Herbert going to still be able to feed him? I love Julio here, but again, position scarcity. This is the same thing we were in last year, where now Julio will go off and have the year of years.
And Julio could. I have Julio as my 3rd overall receiver. I've got Eckler, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 13th.
Yeah.
So
I took Eckler.
right.
To be honest, if you look at how this draft's going, there's
Julio goes right after you.
Julio went. Yeah, you got Kittle off the board. You've got now 4 wide receivers. It's just a position scarcity thing. To me,
you have flexibility now, Drake. You have flexibility. You don't have, and guess what? These running backs are going to keep going if there's 3 flex spots.
Mm-hmm.
So to get 2 of them, in my opinion, especially with as deep as receiver is, you should feel pretty decent about it. The other thing I'll say with Eckler is the sooner Herbert can get in, the better. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the problem. Tyrod holds onto the ball far longer than Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers probably average time to throw over his career is like a 2.5, 2.6. Tyrod Taylor's like a 3.1, 3.2 guy. So he doesn't really want to. He doesn't want to dump it down. He wants to either go deep or run. So you need Tyrod Taylor to get out of the way, and you need Justin Herbert to be the starting quarterback by like week 3 or 4, and he's going to be much more likely, to check it under. I think Tyrod Taylor could be a hindrance to Keenan Allen as well as to Austin Eckler, but potentially, a help to Mike Williams and Hunter Henry as long as he's in there.
DeAndre Hopkins and Julio back-to-back off the board right after I go. Chris Godwin, so now there's a little receiver run because I think people have seen with the tiers, we're kind of out of the guys you really feel comfortable as your running back.
Chris Godwin, man, overrated. Godwin's been my guy. We've loved him. We pumped him up like the day Bruce Arians signed last year. But man, after really digging like 3 levels deeper with some of the new data I have doing my wide receiver tiers, man, Chris Godwin, he's got some major holes in the game. I'm not saying he can't improve them, but his splits, versus man coverage were terrible. He's going to have to play outside more. They could still scheme him inside, but if you look at what, you're probably going to get out of the box is going to be the base personnel of 12. We have to depend on them moving him inside and doing different things with him. And I still like him, but I think he's going to be more of an efficiency play than a volume play. And what people don't realize is he was an efficiency play last year. I think he had 118 targets, so he wasn't a 150 target guy. He just did a ton with the targets that he had. And so I think there's a little bit of room for Godwin to actually, regress this year. I have him actually, if I'm looking strictly at like how I've got things ranked from a points and a tier standpoint, I've got him below Adam Thielen, DJ Moore, and Allen Robinson. So I like all of those guys a little bit more than I do Chris Godwin.
How about Todd Gurley going off the board at 23 overall to Chris Prince from Roto Grinders?
Hey, everybody's split, right?
Yeah.
On Gurley. Everybody's split. So, it doesn't surprise me. I'm not making that pick personally. But I get it. It's a position scarcity thing. And if some people just think the news is overblown, look, Todd Gurley's clearly going to be the guy in Atlanta. Are you worried about Brian Hill or, Ito Smith?
Do they still have Divino Zigbo? I think he's there. That's the thing now.
That's the Jaguars.
Oh, the Jaguar. Yeah, he's because Armstead was on the COVID list. There's reports out now that Gurley was seen with a noticeable limp already in preseason camp. So people are worried about him. And once one of these blurbs comes out, everyone.
Mark Ingram just went, Drake. That should make you look.
Yeah,
Todd Gurley, James Conner, Leonard Fournette, Mark Ingram. These guys are all playing the position scarcity. Let's not get hung out to dry game.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mark Ingram off the board to Marcus Grant. Before him, Ron Rigney of Fantrax took Leonard Fournette.
Mark Ingram is normally a 6-round pick. He's normally a 6-round pick and a 12-man. Mm-hmm. So he should have been, technically that puts him at like a 5th man here. So that kind of tells Jonathan Taylor in the 2nd round. See, folks it's kind of I don't want to say these folks were freaking out. They're used to doing this. It may have been their plan. But if you don't plan for a 14-man league, it does definitely impact behavior because everybody is counting the picks between their current pick and the next pick. And guess what? There's more picks between. Mm-hmm. And so if they're staring at tiers and they're like, crap, there's a good receiver I like, but if I don't pick this runner, I don't get a running back in my tier. So like Lev Bell just went. David Johnson just went. You made a phenomenal decision, in my opinion, going with Eckler over Julio Jones. So think of the value you're about to get. These guys don't normally go until after your next pick. And they're all going before your next pick.
Yeah, so let's review here. Ingram, then Jonathan Taylor to Mike Tagliere of Fantasy Pros, Gary Davenport, David Johnson, and then Gary Davenport back on the hook. He had the first overall pick. He took David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell. Tags gets Odell Beckham, and here comes Marcus Grant with Kenny Golladay. So we'll see here if the receiver run starts a little in the second round, but we're 31 picks into this draft, and we have 22 running backs off the board already. Wow, as we start things off in round 3. So I'm up in about 6 picks. Obviously, we're pushing tight end for a while and quarterback.
Did Melvin Gordon get picked?
I still have him on my sheet. He's the top available guy.
Chris Carson, David Montgomery, they're all still there? Okay.
Gordon's there, Carson's there. I'm up in about 6 picks. If it came back and Gordon or Carson are there, I'm taking one of them, but I doubt one of them gets back to me. Cam Akers is still there.
I'm fine. I would be fine with Gordon. There's no way I would prioritize him over Adam Thielen, DJ Moore, or Allen Robinson, though. Now, I mean, let's see what happens at receiver. Whoa. Who's that? Who's that to?
Ron Rigney. Cooper Kupp off the board with Allen Robinson, Thielen, Mike Evans also on the board.
I don't think this is – that's kind of interesting. So, I mean, the Cooper Kupp and the Mark Ingram thing both kind of caught me. That's a bit rich.
Thielen. This is CBS's ranking. So when you look on theirs, that's why, folks, if you're doing a draft –
But in a draft like this,
have your own cheat sheets. Go to PFF, print off Dwayne's rankings, have them right there ready for you. Don't go by the rankings for the site that you're doing the draft on.
Yeah, I was going to say in this draft, nobody that's drafting in here is using that cheat sheet. They're using their own. Mm-hmm. Right? These guys are all big time into fantasy football. They all probably. My guess is everybody that's in our draft does their own projections.
Yes, again, some great guys in here. Ryan McDowell, Eric Dickens from Dynasty League Football. Who haven't we talked about yet? Drew Davenport, we love him. The Tozy brothers from Legion Report. Let's see. Yeah, Jake Seeley, right around me. All right, Lamar Jackson, first quarterback off the board, goes to our pal Fantasy Mojo. So he's probably saying at this point, you know what? Fire me up a quarterback. The running back tier is drying up. Wide receivers a little deep. Let's try to differentiate. Juju. Boy, so Juju ahead of Allen Robinson, Thielen, Mike Evans. Chris Prince's team. All right, we're up in about 3 picks.
So I think, I don't know where you're at, Drake, but like what I would be staring at is Melvin Gordon, Adam Thielen, DJ Moore, and Allen Robinson.
Yep.
Those are my 3, and I probably try to let Thielen go by if I can get more Robinson, hoping I get Thielen coming back.
On this CBS thing, Thielen's the top-rated wide receiver. So if somebody's just looking at that, I don't know if that matters or not, but
yeah, I mean it's not that
DJ Moore is like 7 receivers down.
It's not that they're using this cheat sheet, but they will pay attention to that just because they know that if you're staring at it or if they think somebody else might be happening to look at it,
right?
And they know they want to get Adam Thielen, it'll be tough for him to come back. I know you like Melvin Gordon more than me, Drake. And here's the thing: I still have him as the next best running back. I have he and Chris Carson right there, and so I like the fact that Gordon's going to catch passes. I'm not crazy about his offense or Drew Lock, and I'm not crazy about having Philip Lindsay behind him. I don't.
No, he just went off the board.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I was going to say, if he gets there, I wouldn't blame you at all, because to go ahead and have 3 guys,
look at it, because you have 3 flexes too. It is full point PPR.
Yeah. And now I would be off of it. Now I would definitely be on these receivers. I would be trying to take the best receiver. So, I mean, if you think Thielen is the way to go, just based on the way their board works over here. And look, I like all 3 guys really the same anyway. I'm just used to Thielen going after the other 2. So maybe in this case, since the board has Thielen at the top, you go Thielen and just hope you get one of the other 2, coming back.
Ideally, if I can get a receiver here, I'm hoping Cam Akers comes back to me in the next round. Just because I really want to get into this running back business. And after him, there's Kareem Hunt, Montgomery, Jones. It dries up. You're looking at kind of some needles in a haystack here. We'll see. Maybe another quarterback.
I would be hoping to get 2 receivers out of that tier first, and Cam Akers would be my backup plan. But again, it's your draft. I think Cam Akers, as much as I pumped him up based on the situation he lands in. And by the way, now everybody's starting to hear clips. Oh, well, maybe it's not going to be a running back by committee. We've been talking about that for months, but I still am not going to prioritize him over DJ Moore or Allen Robinson. There's no way in hell. Even in this format, because you have to start 3 receivers. So if I can get 2 out of that tier, I'm doing it. Now, once that tier dries up, you could start to make a case, I think, for Akers.
Well, we're on the clock now. So
Allen Robinson went and Chris Carson went. I think you should take Thielen, but it's Yeah,
I'm between Thielen and DJ Moore here.
You take the one that you think you have a chance of the other one sliding back.
I think just based on people staring at this screen, and maybe it's dopey to think, but Thielen's the top guy. Moore is about 5 or 6 down there. Sometimes that people get lost in the shuffle. Your eyes just pass over it. Mike Evans is still there. Terry McLaurin. There's going to be some high-end guys people are going to jump on. Let's can I take? Boy, I do not like this CBS software.
I hate it.
We're taking Adam.
I'm not even using it, and I hate it.
All right, so we got Adam Thielen. He's on the squad.
Drake's
so my squad so
Thielen.
far, we started out Kenyon Drake, Austin Eckler, Adam Thielen. So that's where I am right now. And Patrick Mahomes to Jake Seeley right behind me. So that's good. Keep pushing value down the board. Let's hope somebody takes a tight end here.
Hey, you probably will get Mark Andrews to go between your picks. And we love Mark Andrews.
Last year when I was in this draft and it was at the Hall of Fame, it was really cool. They put you up drafting right in the hall in this amazing room. I should tweet out some pictures of it at Drake Fantasy. And, the bust room is right across the hall with all the heads that you see. When the guy gets enshrined, that's really cool to see. And I had Chris Prince from Roto Grinders drafting right in front of me. And oh my God, every single time I was about to end the clock, the guy sniped me with a pick. So I'm happy he's not there. I wasn't looking at a quarterback right there. So that's cool. Thanks, Jake Seeley from The Athletic. I do have an Athletic subscription, so I'll check out your recap of this. So I see you dropped a few new things over at PFF, some receiver tiers, huh? Tell everybody about that.
Yeah. I'd already dropped the running back tiers and the tight end tiers, but I literally, go through over 100 players. Most of them have an individual write-up, some longer than others, that talk about, how, just the key things you need to know about them. And a lot of it is using things that you can get from Pro Football Focus in the back end data that you really can't get, elsewhere. So some of it's really, really unique to PFF because of the data that it's insane what I have access to. I every day I wake up and I get to have access to that. I just think, wow, because of, me, Drake, I love data. I love analytics. I love all that stuff. So it's just, it's like a kid in a candy store. And so, but I haven't got to really utilize all of it because I had already done my projections. I didn't start working with PFF until July. So I'm just now getting to work back through them all and try to pull in a few key components of data, not overwhelm myself, but pull in a few key additional insights. And it allows me to really tweak my rankings, my tiers, rethink things. So that's my freshest look at wide receivers. It's 9,200 words, Drake. So it is packed with info. I would put it against any tier article in the industry. I mean, you can name anybody. I'll put it up there against it. I mean, I'm very, very happy with it. I feel that, I was very balanced. I, again, trying not to be biased about anything, taking all the information in and just reassessing everything. I think people will really like it. I've also grouped people into tiers, not only by wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Within each one of those, I break them down into, okay, here's wide receiver 2, with big play upside, but not going to get a lot of volume, right? Here's your wide receiver, or here's your wide receiver threes that, aren't going to get big plays, but they're going to be solid, low ADOT PPR type guys, and then, so people will get to see more about how it's broken out. We can talk about it a little more later in the show. I want to make sure you're ready for this pick. So DJ Moore and Robert Woods both went, and AJ Brown. That sucks.
We're still looking. We got Mike Evans hanging out there. Calvin Ridley.
Did Allen Robinson go?
Yes.
Okay.
DJ Chark, Terry McLaurin. There's a lot of good receivers left out here.
Well, and now I'm to the point where I'm with you. I would go with the running back.
Let me see. So let's flip back to the running back. So there's Cam Akers hanging out. They've got Singletary, Cohen, and Swift above him. I don't agree with that.
It's not going to matter, right? Because
I don't agree with any of that.
Well, I think Swift is in the same tier. But I think they're right there together. But I think with Akers,
Mostert and Amari Cooper, the last two picks.
But I guess where I was going with that is it doesn't really matter who's ahead of him. You're going to take your guy. It's not like you're going to pass running back most likely, because how many picks have to go after you? So if you want Cam Akers, and you feel strongly, there goes Mike Evans. So you're up.
Yeah, that would have been I would have really been thinking about Mike Evans here. So we're looking between, there's DJ Chark, Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin. Or, there's still David Montgomery and Cam Akers, Kareem Hunt.
I would go to what your original thing was at this point. Once the wide receivers we really, really liked go, I would go with the position scarcity of Akers. And again, I think there's a really good chance this is not a committee like people think.
I agree. He's a good player in a good offense that I think really rebounds. They've got a play caller there who's, among probably the best in the NFL at designing plays, scheming people open. I'm not as worried. People go crazy about their offensive line. I thought down the stretch when they brought in those two, I think they're undrafted rookies or whatever, I thought the line played a little better the last few games.
Well, and they started playing 12 personnel to adjust as well. And they got Johnny Munt, a name no one knows, but one of the better blocking tight ends in the league.
Any relation to Ronnie Mund?
I don't know.
Driver? No,
but he's definitely going to be a cock blocker this year for Gerald Everett. So get ready for that, because Gerald Everett can't block for piss. So that's going to be his problem, is he's going to have to actually try to take, snaps away from Higbee, because I think Munt's going to be on the field more than folks think, because he did help stabilize their running game last year. They got much more effective down the stretch over the last 5 to 6 games. And they also like to keep him in to help have an extra pass blocker. Drake. So not the typical Rams offense we were used to seeing the 2.5 years before that, but it was an improvement based on, where they sit today and with, what their roster construction looks like. So Singletary goes after you. How you feeling, Drake? How you feel so far?
I have zero interest. I don't think I will draft Devin Singletary in a single draft this year that I do. I'm digging it. I remember being in this draft last year, and it's live on Sirius XM, and there's going to be coverage of that today. If you're watching this on YouTube, check it out on Sirius. Our good buddy there, friend of the show, Joe Dolan, will be anchoring the broadcast with Matt Camp. I'm feeling fine because I know receivers deep. I know running back is super scarce, and I feel like I got 3 starting running backs, especially in a PPR, that can catch the football. I got Kenyon Drake could catch 5-6 balls a game. We know Eckler can do that. And I think Cam Akers can easily go out and catch the ball out of the backfield too.
The Rams love to run down inside the 5. And that's a big part. Gurley was really good at that. So that was part of it. But I think where Akers, the other reason I've liked Akers all off season has been because I thought if I look at the backs that are on the roster, I feel like Akers is probably immediately going to take that role, right? And anytime you get touchdowns and an offense we think that has upside, that's great. Now you pile on the fact that you and I are more in the camp of, look, Akers he's got Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown, for Christ's sake. That's who he's dealing with. Okay, he's most likely he's gonna take this backfield over, and no discredit to Darrell Henderson. I do still think Henderson could have something in the tank, but I think Akers clearly leads the backfield.
Yes. He's not coming up in there against a Marlon Mack who's 1,000-yard rusher or anything.
Give me Akers.
He's gonna be the guy.
Give me Akers in the 4th over Jonathan Taylor in the 2nd. 100 drafts out of 100 drafts, literally.
I'm surprised some of the wide receivers that are falling here, but that's just because of the running back scarcity. Calvin Ridley still on the board. Terry McLaurin comes off at 50th overall. Everybody in America loves Terry McLaurin, talking about, I don't want to leave a draft without Terry McLaurin, and he tears it up left and right. And that may be the case. I'll tell you this, though. I'm scared to death of Terry McLaurin and his quarterbacks. I think Haskins is garbage. And they're talking about putting Kyle Allen in. If Kyle Allen's coming into the game, like, what are we talking about here? Like, these quarterbacks are trash.
Yeah, Kyle Allen.
What did you think about him in your article?
Kyle Allen personally sunk Curtis Samuel last year. Curtis Samuel needed to play better as well. But Samuel, of all receivers, Drake, with at least 50 targets, his catchable passes were the worst in the league with Kyle Allen at 62%. And Dwayne Haskins could actually be a downgrade from that. Dwayne Haskins was one of the least accurate quarterbacks, Drake, in the entire NFL last year. And when I say least accurate, I mean pathetic, like really, really bad. Now, he could improve. He was getting better, down the stretch last season. But if you look at, his rankings, like if you go over to Pro Football Focus's quarterback annual, where they rank all of these things by accuracy and all these different levels of the field. So here's Dwayne Haskins' accuracy, meaning they either led the receiver perfectly, kept it away from a defender, or they kept it in the frame. Okay. The frame of the receiver. Like, I can reach it here, I can reach it here, I can reach it here, but I don't have to like lunge for it. He was 35 out of 35 quarterbacks. His inaccurate passes that are so catchable inaccurate, meaning they were catchable, but you wouldn't call them accurate. It's not like the receiver gets to keep running. He was 35 out of 35. And then uncatchable passes, meaning no chance. He was 31st out of 35. So there's some major, major accuracy problems going on with Dwayne Haskins. And Jay Moyer did some nice work. He broke down some of the reason why. He puts a lot of it on the receivers. But at the same time, Haskins still, and I can understand some of that, but I think Haskins clearly is part of that equation. I mean, to be that terrible, it's definitely not, I just have bad receivers.
On the screen right now, I popped up a positional breakdown. So you can see through 6 rounds how people are building their roster. Hey, listen, we got to do something with the CBS site. I mean, Jesus Christ, we can't show a freaking grid of who's being taken. But so you can see right here, it tells you quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, who's taking what, and everybody except for the Tozy brothers, Dennis Clausen, Doug Orth, have loaded up at running back. So a guy like Doug Orth, he actually started 1 running back, I guess you could call that modified 0 RB, and 3 receivers. So we can check his team out. Let's see what Doug's up to. He's a good dude, had some beers with him. He's got Aaron Jones, then he went Devontae Adams, Calvin Ridley, and A.J. Brown. So Calvin Ridley is off the board. I must have missed him.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great start. I love all 3 of those receivers. I have Devontae Adams as the only other player in the top tier with Michael Thomas. So that's clearly, a great pick. Then you have Calvin Ridley and A.J. Brown, who I both have in the same tier as, I think, top end wide receiver 2s, right, with upside to grow. So I like both of those guys. Not a great fan of Aaron Jones, but just because of, you got Dillon there now, you already had Jamal Williams. Most people don't even realize, you go back and look at Aaron Jones's splits in the games where Williams was there. He was a lot more shaky than people remember. He was more of a boom bust player than what folks, remember. They just remember all of those touchdowns, which really helped him. So people worry about that regression, but there's actually some other risk with Aaron Jones beyond just the touchdown regression. And I think Aaron Jones should just own that backfield. I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't just let him do everything. The guy's gold as far as giving him touches, but for whatever reason, that doesn't seem to be what those coaches want to do. And that's what we care about, is what's actually going to happen on the field.
Mm-hmm. Let's pop around, look at some other squads here, some folks you might know. How about Mike Tagliere from Fantasy Pros? He's got Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift. So he's got 2 rookie running backs. So he's hoping that Swift and Jonathan Taylor become, the guys, because he's going to need one to be his RB2 and the other to be a flex play. And his wide receivers so far, Odell Beckham and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Swift is more likely, to give him a steady role than Taylor. But if Taylor takes over, it's a home run, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if Taylor takes over, nobody doubts that. If Taylor takes over the backfield, if Marlon Mack gets hurt, anything like that, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's going to be, in the top 12 runners, top 12 running backs. So he'll feel good about that. But I like Lockett and both Beckham. I think Beckham carries some upside, in this Kevin Stefanski offense. When the Gary Kubiak scheme, the Shanahan scheme has an elite receiver, which we know Beckham once was. It's a question of, is he still? Age shouldn't really be the factor. He had a core injury last year that probably impacted his ability to play well against man coverage and to do some other things, which he struggled with for the first time in his career. There's some real meat on the bone with Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, this is a guy that can still do everything, Drake. Theoretically, he can stretch the field deep, and, he can high point the ball in one-on-ones deep. He can work underneath. He can work, he can do screens. He can be a rack guy or yards after the catch guy. So I feel like Beckham has every element of a receiver's game that you would want. He's not limited in any factor, as long as, the health isn't just too much of a problem. And he could be in a system that's now going to give him some of the best looks he's ever seen. It won't be as many looks as what he was used to, like still back with the Giants, because the offense is going to run a little more. Things are going to slow down some, but the efficiency could shoot sky high. Anytime you have a receiver that could get a chance to get, improved play action looks. Remember A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, players that played in similar type schemes that got to use a lot of play action last year. It could be huge for Odell Beckham Jr.
All right, let's check some of the last picks going off the board. We're about 62 picks into the draft right now. Will Fuller, J.K. Dobbins just goes off the board to Dynasty League Football. DJ Chark, boy, I was hoping he would keep falling. He's a guy a lot of people have pegged as a top 15, top 20 wide receiver. He lasted 60 picks into this draft. Mark Andrews off the board to Ron Rigney, DK Metcalf to Marcus Grant.
Will Fuller, man, that's the guy that I was hoping would just slide, because the thing with Fuller, I have him and Brandon Cooks, projected equally, but I have Will Fuller playing 12 games. So in the games he's there, you're going to feel really good about every time he's in your lineup. When he starts, you do have to deal, yes, with when he doesn't start, but I still like Fuller. That's a bit early for my taste, to be honest, on Will Fuller. You're basically, you're kind of betting the bank a little bit there. But, coming back down into your range as one of these 2 turn picks in a 14-man league, he was going to be somebody I was going to really try to put in your ear, just because in the weeks he does play, even if it's just 12 weeks, he can be a week winner for you. All right. Very, very easily.
So we're on deck. I'm so happy we don't have to be reaching at running back here. James White just went off the board. So White and Dobbins, the last 2 picks, we're not even living in that world right now. Let's look around at wide receiver. T.Y. Hilton's there. Marquis Brown is there.
You want who my guy would be here?
A.J. Green just went on. Who do you like?
Devonta Parker.
You're a big Parker guy. I bet I could get him coming back.
I doubt it.
You don't think so?
Nope, I do not. And I clearly have him ahead of everyone here. Like Devonta Parker, doing all my research, I moved him into the same tier as Calvin Ridley and DJ Chark. And I ranked him ahead of DJ Chark. But here's why, Drake. So listen to me.
Mm-hmm. We got a minute here. So
you got a minute? Okay. So
it's our damn draft now.
I'll talk you through it. So if you look at Devonta Parker last year, he was having to play against some of the best corners in the league, and he came through. So that's one. So he's going to see better coverage this season because he was better down the stretch last year, but he overcame it, right? He was actually able to show that he was capable of doing it. Now, here's the last thing. If you look at Parker and you look at who his new coordinator is, right, Chan Gailey, let me tell you the guys that this guy peppered here. Dwayne Bowe, 155 targets. Stevie Johnson, 139, 132. And then the next season, Stevie was hurt, but he still had 25% of the targets in the games he played. Brandon Marshall, 167. Brandon Marshall, 121 targets. All of those, by the way, except for Bowe, are with Ryan Fitzpatrick as his starting quarterback. So when you look at Parker and what he was able to do as far as breaking out last year, and you look at the potential utilization the guy could see, you got Preston Williams still coming off of an injury, who I really like. I like Mike Gesicki, but I do not think he's an elite player. I think Parker starts off the year as the lead dog with a chance to assert complete dominance over the whole thing for the season. Tua is a wild card because we know Fitzpatrick is a big part of why Parker's playing better, because he basically, if you're not open, you're still open to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Tua's good, though. I mean, people are like,
but we don't know if Tua will have that mentality. But what we do have, which I think helps us, is knowing Chan Gailey's willing to funnel. You know, he's willing to funnel to a top guy. And
there's nobody else there. Everybody else opted out.
Exactly. So, well, I mean, the guys that matter didn't opt out. Those guys that opted out all sucked. But, but yeah, exactly. And don't you notice that? It's mostly, that's kind of how it's been. But, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think the players, you know, you got to do what's right for you and your family. So that I didn't mean that comment like that. But man, I'm all over Parker. I would love to have him here. So,
well, we only had 90 seconds, so I took him. So on the way back, so you got that one. I'll get the next guy. So we got Tyler Boyd and T.Y. Hilton went off right after my Parker pick. So you got these kind of, you know, I'd say what are we in, like a third, fourth tier of wide receiver here?
Yeah, I have Devonta Parker in my wide receiver twos now. So that's why I was like, he was my, and I had Hilton behind him.
There goes Marquis Brown to Dennis Clausen and Royal Baller.
And I like Marquise Brown, but on an offense that might throw the ball the least in the league, and a quarterback, you know, that, look, I really like Lamar Jackson, but he has limitations. He cannot throw the ball outside the hashes past the 15-yard mark. So that immediately means, okay, great. Marquise Brown is going to need to run a lot of routes inside that area.
Woo!
What?
Michael Gallup off the board.
Yep.
Mike Wohlert, 4 for 4, 70th overall.
Bold prediction: Michael Gallup won't even be the second targeted receiver in the offense. It will be CeeDee Lamb.
Are you taking Michael Gallup? And you're a Cowboys fan. Are you taking Michael Gallup over Jarvis Landry, Steph Diggs, Julian Edelman, Deontay Johnson?
I mean, I get the logic. It's a young player in what should be a great offense. And so I don't mind. I think Gallup's in the range of all the guys that we're looking at here. Right?
I'll make a bold prediction. I'd rather have Jalen Reagor over Michael Gallup.
It's possible. It's possible.
They're lining him up at X. That's a guy we're going to be targeting another round or two, but we'll see what happens there. He's got a chance to legit be his one. Michael Gallup's not going to be the one on the Cowboys.
No, he's not. I think he's, you know, here's the deal with Gallup. He's very lucky he has Amari Cooper on the other side. Otherwise, he's a really average player. I mean, I watch him every single week. You know, he was only open on 28% of his targets. Amari Cooper, who faces shadow coverage every single week almost, was 40%. He was open on 40% of his targets. And the other thing is if you go dig in, Amari Cooper is the first read far more often than Gallup. So Gallup's basically living off of, hey, I'm on this backside getting these easy matchups. Well, now you're going to have him getting a little bit more attention, and you have CeeDee Lamb getting the best matchup on the field. I mean, Randall Cobb put up 800 yards out of the slot. I think Lamb is going to be, you know, I think they're all going to be pretty close in targets, but I mean, I think you got to give Amari the top spot, but then I think you give the next to Lamb, and then I think you get Gallup in, and Gallup can still be valuable. I don't think there's a lot of meat on the bone from an upside perspective, whereas Lamb, I do, because I think he has more big playability, and he's going to get just as good, if not better, matchups. All
right, we're up at about 2 picks here. Dak Prescott just went. So did Jarvis Landry. You know, I'm looking at the board here. I'm on deck. Thank you, Mr. Computer Man. You know, it's a spot where I'm thinking, all right, we're up. So, you know, maybe this is a spot where I look at tight end, Darren Waller, maybe. Still looking here. I'm kind of digging, no pun intended, to keep rolling at wide receiver with Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
He is the one there. You've got Deontay Johnson's on the board.
I have Diggs and Darren Waller as it's down to those two players.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, you could squeeze Brandon Cooks in as well, who has been open on more deep targets in the last 5 years, basically than any other receiver in the league. And now he gets Deshaun Watson, a guy that actually can deliver the ball to him there.
What do you think of Edelman?
I like Diggs better. I feel you get more upside. Yeah. I like Edelman, but I like Diggs better.
I think Diggs is going to have some bomb games where he just, has 190 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yep, agree.
So Stephon Diggs is the pick of the Buffalo Bills. We'll see what kind of rapport he can get with Josh Allen this year. John Brown's not dead. He's still there, and he had a really good year. Cole Beasley in the slot was nice. That's a division that they can win. If you're the Buffalo Bills, you're all in this year. They're going to be the Montreal Expos, right? Because remember the strike year when the Expos had a just amazing team and they were going to win the World Series, everyone thought? That'll be the Bills. The Bills will be like 9-0, and then the season gets canceled.
Yeah. Dude, I didn't even notice until just now who went just in the pick before you. That is insane.
Darrell Henderson. Yeah. So
I'll just tell you, in the drafts that I've done with some of the sharpest players, not necessarily just analysts. I'm talking about, high stakes players, and they're still, believe me, they're still just complete fish in the high stakes rooms too. Everybody needs money. So there has to be a mark in every room. But Darrell Henderson, doesn't normally go, in those leagues where people are really willing to put their money up. I mean, he doesn't go till the 10th or 11th round.
I think we're looking at super position scarcity. That was Jake Seeley, the Athletic.
Go Antonio Gibson, unless he's ranked as a receiver here.
He's here. I saw him.
But is he a receiver or a running back?
I think he's a running back.
Yeah, if I'm going Gibson over Darrell Henderson, like for days.
Yeah, he's listed as a running back, but yeah, he's down the board. Again, who knows what guys we're looking at? Let me see here. What did I just want to say? Oh, I want to look at Jake's team and to say why he might have done that. So let me pull up Jake's team. Here we go. So Jake has a quarterback already. He took Chubb, and then he went receiver with Hilton Evans, and he has Kelsey. So he's really thin.
He's got the Mahomes. He paid to get the Mahomes Kelsey stack, basically. Yeah. Which I like. I think that's a creative way to think about this. But this isn't a tournament where I'm playing against 5,000 other players. I don't need to do that. And I mean, Seeley's a great fantasy, analyst and player. So everybody's got their own reasons. It'd be awesome to have him on and just chat through, the thought process. I'm sure he's a very thoughtful guy, so I'm sure he's thought through it. But like for me, like to try to make that kind of pairing, it's usually in like a big field where I know I got to do something that other people haven't been able to do. When I'm just trying to win a 14-man league, that's not in my strategy. It could, if it works out, great, but it is definitely not something, that I'm trying to force. And even then, I mean, it's tough to say he tried to force it. I mean, Kelsey came back to him in the second round, and then he got Mahomes in the third, in a 14-teamer. Mahomes usually goes in the early third or mid third, and he got him in the late third. So he got some value, on Mahomes, but it's just tough, Drake, to have and we're seeing it, right, to have a quarterback and a running back. My guess is Seeley thinks that Henderson had the most upside of all the remaining players, because if he could somehow battle Akers and win that battle, just for the same reasons we like Akers, it could be a fruitful backfield.
Mm-hmm. So after I took Diggs, the other option was Darren Waller. He went immediately afterwards to Drew Davenport. And I talked to Drew. He's a really good dude. I think he might join us at some point during the draft to talk about his team. Deontay Johnson then went off the board to the Tozy brothers. And there's our guy, Antonio Gibson, to Dynasty League Football, Eric Dickens and Ryan McDowell. Those guys do a great job over there. You ever check out their stuff?
Oh, yeah. They're phenomenal. Phenomenal. Some of the best stuff out there. And Drake, I don't say that easily.
Yeah, they're smart guys. I got to have beers with them out at the Kings Classic last year. And I was never a big Dynasty player, so I wasn't really in tune to what they do. And then I started reading their stuff, and I know Ryan helps out with the Scott Fishbowl a lot. And these guys they're on the ball. Last 2 picks now. We're starting to cook here. Here we go. Deshaun Watson to Chris Prince. Julian Edelman off the board. There goes Brandon Cooks to Ron Rigney, and Russell Wilson to Marcus Grant. So a couple of quarterbacks going off the board here. Let me mark them off. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. I'm not going to lie. I'm hoping Josh Allen comes back to me for a little stack there with Stephon Diggs, but we'll see. And Cooks. You're a big Cooks guy this year. You're kind of feeling him.
Oh, I mean, my thought is why not? I don't expect him to be like a target hog, but I expect him to get 20 to 22% of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think in the weeks that Fuller's healthy, just because he's already got the rapport and he's shown what he can do, I would make Fuller the favorite. But again, you're probably only going to get Fuller for who knows. I mean, Fuller's missed so many games over the last 4 years. I mean, it's not like he just misses 1 or 2. I mean, he misses half of the season. So Fuller's the guy I like more just because he can totally win my weeks. But you know what? Brandon Cooks has an outside chance of becoming that guy as well. And he's already going to be a key piece of the offense. And if Fuller goes down in week 3 and there's all of a sudden a funnel to Brandon Cooks, I mean, good Lord, you're going to feel great. I mean, the other guy that's going to likely get more involved will be, Randall Cobb. They haven't really had a good slot receiver there, but the problem with Cobb is you got to get out of all those 12 personnel sets with Darren Fells and Jordan Akins and Jordan Thomas. You got Bill O'Brien as just a freaking complete wild card, like as far as what the hell he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I thought Cobb was going to be on the field, if I thought they were going to run 11 personnel, 70 to 80%, I honestly would have Randall Cobb, basically within range of you drafting in your next round. But just because I'm not quite sure what they're going to do with personnel, I would say, you got to wait around. But Cobb's another guy that I like as well.
Marvin Jones, he's a favorite of mine, man. He is just productive whenever he's on the field, which lately, though, hasn't been all the time. Christian Kirk, and maybe I'm wrong. I find Christian Kirk to be vastly overrated, especially now that they have, a healthy, ascending running back who can catch passes. You've got DeAndre Hopkins. You've got 8,000 other guys. Larry Fitzgerald still limping around out there. Like, I don't know. I can't get behind Christian Kirk right now. It's like, is he like the second option? Is he the fourth option? I'm not putting that guy in my lineup. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel him.
I think he's the second option on the team. When you really look at what he was able to do last year, I think Hopkins will be the clear one. I think Kirk will be the clear 2. And then I think Larry Fitzgerald does actually slowly fade into oblivion. And then I think, you're going to get plenty of work, out of Drake. From the backfield, Andy Isabella is making a little bit of noise in camp, so we'll see, what he can do. But here's the thing, Drake. The other receivers outside of DeAndre Hopkins, you got a guy that's getting super old, and then who else? Nobody. It's Kirk and him. So Akeem Butler,
what happened to him? That guy was like Matt Waldman's number 1 wide receiver. I remember in a year ago when we talked to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's what happens, right? You only get so many guys that hit, and it's not to say that Akeem Butler won't hit. He still could. He may have just had a rough camp and just put him behind on everything.
Hold on a second. My daughter's coming in here to talk. Allie, come here.
Oh, awesome.
Come here. You want to talk? Say hello? I think she has a question about, I'm putting water in our pool outside. Does Mommy want to turn the water off? Yes. Tell her that's fine. All right. Bye, Allie. She's doesn't want to come on screen, apparently. All right. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4. We're like 5 or 6 picks away. Matt Breida off the board. Hayden Hurst, Lat Murray, Jordan Howard, the last 4 picks. Okay. Boy, I feel so good having those 3 running backs, Dwayne. I can't lie to you that I'm not reaching for guys here.
Yep.
Jordan Howard's off the board. Hayden Hurst, Matt Breida. There he goes. Still a ton of really good wide receivers, too. Guys I'm digging who are on the board. Slayton, Rager, Manny Sanders, Jamison Crowder, CeeDee Lamb, D-Jax, who's running by everybody on Instagram. Tevin Coleman there off the board. Running back wise, if we were looking at that, Dwayne, the only guys left is, I think Tariq Cohen's got to be gone. I must have just missed that. Yeah. So you're looking at Sony, AP, which, we're not touching Sony right now. AP, Keyshawn Vaughn, Zach Moss, Marlon Mack, Chase Edmonds, Carry On still there, Phil Lindsay, Tony Pollard. So, nobody really running out to get right now. I'd address other positions before I started picking those guys.
Yeah, I think the Lindsay, Mack, guys that have roles, but are also they've shown they can do things. So if the other running back gets hurt, I think they're fine. I think it's a bit early for some of the cuffs, right? Like because Pollard's really just a cuff. Pollard isn't really going to do anything. He's just going to, basically when Ezekiel Elliott decides he wants to come out of the game, Pollard gets to go in. Otherwise, Pollard's, he's stuck on the pine.
Carry On just went.
Edmonds, brings a little bit of additional value to you because you own Kenyon Drake, and we clearly want to own the Cardinals starting running back, but it's still too early to your point.
But let's be honest, with the way these running backs are flying off the board, you never know.
Yeah, but not in this format. It's not a good strategy because you're giving up. You don't even have all your starters drafted yet.
Oh no, I'm not saying me. I'm just saying he could easily go off the board before he comes back to us.
Yeah, he won't go. There's too many other guys that actually have roles.
All right, we're on the clock. Jamison Crowder just went. I'm thinking of pulling the trigger on Josh Allen right here.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And coming back, you're either going to get Lamb, Ruggs, or Rager. And that's, I have them all graded really closely. I think Ruggs has the best chance to be the top, scorer out of those, but I have them all really close. So I think, you feel good about a tier. And then you could also look at tight end. You got Higbee, Gronk, and Hunter Henry, sitting there. So those could be options. But I like the Allen thing. I think you're getting the last of the running quarterbacks, and you get to pair him with your guy Diggs.
I'll be honest. I didn't think he was going to be there. Sterling Shepard off the board here to Jake Seeley. I didn't think he was going to be there. I thought somebody would take him. But in these expert drafts, quarterback chicken is a game everybody likes to play.
But they weren't playing it early. That's what's funny. They were not playing that game early. The first two went a little bit late. But then quite a few went off, right? Kyler Murray went ahead of his normal ADP.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got the 7th quarterback off the board, 94 picks into a draft. Again, it's a 14-team league. But with Josh Allen, the way he runs, I didn't want to.
Plus, we just got to make the Bills Mafia happy from time to time, Drake.
Oh, yeah. Zach Moss just goes off the board right there, Doug Orth. He's going to score, too. He's a guy who, as much as I like Zach Moss, Josh Allen's their goal line back.
Exactly.
He's like the old Cam Newton. Like, everybody, these Bills fans like to get on me about, oh, yeah, Josh Allen's great and Cam Newton's going to stink in New England. I go, buddy, you wish Josh Allen becomes what Cam Newton was. That's exactly what you wish he was. Running the ball, making some throws, being athletic. That's who he is. They're the same guy.
Yeah. So, Drake, if this were me and it's you, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb because he's going to get the best matchups. Here's the deal. We like Rager and Ruggs because I think they get a chance to be their one, but they're not going to be 25, 30% target guys. When I say one, they're going to hope to get to like 22%. Well, guess what? That's still in the same range as CeeDee Lamb's outcomes, and Lamb is going to get the best matchups every week where those guys could end up having to play against their opponent's number one cornerback. That's the difference between them. Now, if I thought Ruggs or Rager was capable of getting, 25, 26, 27% of the targets, it would be different. That's very, very rare for a rookie. And the reason why is because you got to be able to handle all the additional heat that brings you, which is the top cornerback or brackets, all that kind of stuff. Lamb is not going to face that. He's going to play in an offense that's going to be in 11 personnel, probably 80% of the time. The Cowboys fullback opted out. Jason Witten's gone. So 12 and 21 packages are basically shot, right? Kellen Moore wanted to go more 11 last year. Mike McCarthy has ran 11 a ton in the past. I think you're going to see 3 wide receivers on the field for 70 to 80% of the Cowboys snaps. And CeeDee Lamb is going to eat. He's going to eat, Drake, against these other cornerbacks that are just not going to be ready to take on what he can do from a route running, run after the catch, physical. I mean, the guy, Matt Waldman's number 1, ranked wide receiver this year, in the RSP, ahead of Judy. So that's me, but I get what you're saying on Ruggs and Rieger. Lamb's typically the first rookie wide receiver to go. So you have a shot at getting one of the others to come back.
Looking at tight end here, Higbee's on the board, Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, and Gronk. I think I'd like to be in that tier. Otherwise, I'm punting and I'm going down into the Jack Doyle.
I think you're going to make it up. I really do.
Ian Thomas.
This is about how this league is set up. You have 3 flexes.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to replace a tight end who you only have to start one of and deal with that later, to be honest. If you wanted to take a tight end, honestly, you probably needed to pass Josh Allen. But now that you have Allen, this is just me personally, I would hit one of these receivers in this tier. And for me, it would be Lamb. But I think
I can get them coming back.
You won't.
I think you're going to get in this part of the draft now where quarterbacks are going to start going, maybe some tight ends.
You're not going to get CeeDee Lamb coming back. It's going to be ball.
Dude, Boston Scott just went off the board, all right? People are reaching at running back.
I'm just giving you my 20 years of drafting. 100 drafts a year, but you do you, buddy.
Well, that's where I'm at right now. It's between Rager.
Look, Judy just went. You're not getting CeeDee Lamb coming back. It ain't happening.
I would not get him coming through here. Who do we got ahead of me?
Yeah, exactly. You may not get him right now.
I got Doug Orth and Jake Seeley ahead of me here. There goes CeeDee Lamb.
See, I'm about to give you the baby shake, Drake. I'm about to shake you like a baby.
And then Duke Johnson. So Lamb's gone. Dookie is gone. I don't care about any of these running backs right here.
I would take Ruggs first, then Rager. Ruggs is going to get kicked inside to the slot and 3 wide receiver sets. That's going to protect him, not as much as Lamb, but it's going to protect him more than Rager. Rager, they want to be outside. They want him to be the X. I do think the volume could come, but I think he could also poot down his leg when he has to play against better corners. We don't know yet. Again, it's kind of like one of these rookie receivers. It's like, careful what you wish for. We want them to get on the field all the time, and because we think that always means more targets, but sometimes it doesn't. So you really have to pay attention to scheme. I love what John Gruden is saying about Ruggs. Going to move him all over the field. Going to give him some easy looks inside. They're going to, when they go to 3 wide, Edwards will jump on the field outside along with Tyrell Williams. That means Ruggs is going to get some of these easy looks, man, against third cornerbacks. And Ruggs, the thing we know is it's like Lamb in that situation. You catch a 4-yard pass and you go 50.
I got to do it, Dwayne. I got to be a homer.
That's fine. Hey, you got to do it.
I got to take him.
We get to have a side bet though here. $25. Ruggs outscores Rager.
All right. We'll put it on the clock.
Put it on the board. Little hustle side bet.
I had to do it. I had to get my guy. I really do think. Here's the thing. I don't think that D-Jax sticks around the entire season. Because
here's the deal, Drake. That's bad. You want D-Jax to stick around.
I know. I think they're going to get him involved in the running game. They're going to bubble screen him up. Here's another funny thought. Alshon Jeffrey, who everyone's talked about being on the PUP and being out 6 weeks, there's reports from Eagles insiders this week he might be back early September.
I don't get how anything you've told me is good. Alshon Jeffrey could take Jalen Rigger's job because he's trying to play X.
Yeah, but they're going
to Jackson may get hurt
all over the place.
Deshaun Jackson may get hurt and not play, and Rigger's not ready to handle number 1 coverage. Ain't ready. So that's kind of you got to go in my opinion, that's where you got to kind of weed through these guys. And look, I have them all close. They're in the same tier. But give me the guy I know that's going to get the easier looks, and it's going to be Ruggs. Rager is not ready to handle that work.
D-Jax went with the exact next pick to Drew Davenport after Jalen Rager. All right, there's Drew Brees. See, sometimes in these things, folks, you just got to have a little fun. You got to kick your shoes off and go, what the hell? 8 rounds in. I want to cheer for Jalen Rager. We're going to put him on the squad. Let's see. I'll be honest, Dwayne. I'm nervous that Chase Edmonds doesn't come back to us.
Yeah, he may not. I mean, but it's fine. You have 3, so you're worried less about your cuff. You're worried more about, grabbing one of the upside cuff type running backs if you can get one. And you've got Boston Scott, Latavius Murray are gone. You got Edmonds. Did Alexander Madison go yet? Because I haven't been watching the. Wow, Sammy Watkins for the first time in life was just drafted ahead of McCole Hardman. Is that right?
Yep. DeAndre Washington goes off the board. We're in the 8th round here, the Kings Classic. I'm picking 10th overall here, kind of a star-studded field. There's Michael Pittman off the board. Dude, Ruggs might come back. You never know. This draft
I'm about to baby shake you again. He ain't coming back.
This draft is crazy right now.
Yeah, some of the run, but that's the beauty of what you did early, Drake, with the 3 running backs, is just not having to, deal with some of this.
DeAndre Washington was off the board. Darius Slayton of the Giants, he goes to to Marcus Grant. Mike Tagliere with Higbee. You worried about those tight ends out there?
No. What do you mean?
Because of, we saw what Everett did. And then Higbee came in who did nothing for years. And then all of a sudden Higbee blows up over this.
Higbee was never given a chance to do anything. He was always asked to be the blocker. Because look, it's not rocket science. The Rams were putting 3 wide receivers into a route for 2.5 years. Well, what does that mean for the tight end? They're blocking quite a bit, especially if in the early versions of that Rams offense, the 4th receiver was Todd Gurley. So Higbee's just now getting his chance. And I think Higbee clearly showed that he's very capable, and he's a better blocker. I think Gerald Everett's got a really, really tough path to getting many snaps other than being a trinket player in 2020.
So I'm up in 9 picks.
I know. I'm trying to mark off and catch up here.
Anthony Miller,
DeAndre Washington.
Off the board. Let's see. Folks, if you're watching it along at home, just cheer with me if Henry Ruggs or Chase Edmonds comes back this way. Dwayne's going to lose.
I think the other one.
There's Ruggs right there, Tagliere.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it, Drake. I know these things. I'm messing with you. Hey, but is Hardman still there, or am I wrong?
Yep. He's here.
Man.
Dude,
Hardman had 500 yards, Drake, on like 30 catches.
These wide receiver rankings are. Let me see. Is he still here?
I just didn't see him in this grid because, hey, CBS, if we haven't mentioned it, and maybe we're idiots and we don't know how to work this, but you don't have something that every other site, and you're CBS, you can afford this, a draft board. So it's hard for me to keep up.
Is he? He must be gone.
Okay. I was fixing to say, but you can search him probably, or do they not have a search feature either?
I can't even find what. Oh, here we go. Let's search. Okay,
Yes,
John Brown off the board. Search. Let's see if we can search Hardman. Did he go? Oh, yeah, somebody must have taken him.
Okay, I was fixing to say. I hear the kids are having a good time upstairs, God. Drake. I feel like I'm in a hotel room on vacation. Every year we go to Florida, and there's a lot of kids there with and we like to be on the bottom floor so that we can just easily walk out and we can head down to the beach and everything. And that's what it sounds like. I just hear the kids upstairs trying to burn off energy.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. I love it.
See if we can get them to stop at some point. Between that and this Verizon Fios phone box that I can't get to stop beeping. If you ever hear a random beep during our show, I've had people come to the house. Nobody can fix this damn thing and make it stop beeping. All right, so
Naheem Hines.
Naheem Hines is gone. If Chase Edmonds gets to us at this pick, I'm taking him.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Preston Williams off the board because we can't play chicken with that enough. We're screwing around all these. We're having fun with the other guys, but we got to lock that backfield now because we only have 3 running backs.
So another name to remember here for me is Rashad Perriman, a guy that has flash and he has a chance to take over the receiving core. I think he showed last year with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both out down the stretch that he was capable of handling, without them drawing all the coverage away. He still put up some really nice games. And even though his average depth of target was still really deep, he also did some nice run after the catch things underneath. So Perriman is a guy that I like, Drake. Brandon Ayuk, are the guy we knew the least, but also our biggest YouTube success on draft night.
Crazy.
Yeah. So he with Deebo Samuel's likely not to start the season. He could be in a good position. You do worry because they keep adding these receivers. It's like, is this a hint that like this guy's not ready? I don't know.
Wait a minute. Oh, he's not there. Is he there?
Well, it says Q.
Hardman is still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if he's there at your pick, that is like, in my opinion, easy.
But look at the CBS grid. I mean, the guys they have ahead of him. Hunter Renfrow.
I don't care about this grid. Do you want the best player or not?
No, I'm just saying this is what people are looking at.
Yeah.
When you're doing drafts, that's what you got to have some papers here. Curtis Samuel still on the board.
I mean, Robbie Anderson just went. This is making me wonder how many of these folks are really prepared.
It's early in the morning, brother.
Yeah, I love, what my favorite draft, Drake, that I have the most success when I play in some of these large field tournaments is to draft on Labor Day morning or to draft on Sunday morning after Labor Day because people are getting drunk and hammered all weekend. They've got plans again the next day to go out. So they wake up and they're like, well, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to jump in a fantasy draft. And they jump in there. And sometimes you'll land in a room with 4 or 5 of these folks. And man, I have had some of my best drafts ever. And if what you want in that kind of draft is to literally land right in the middle of the draft board. And you just pick off value. I mean, I have built some monster teams in those kind of scenarios. So just a little tip, folks, if you're going to play in some big fields, something to think about, there's strategy to every aspect of how you handle fantasy football and choosing when to draft, what's going to put you in the most likely situation to not be drafting with sharks, those sort of things, all matters.
I'm going to take Chase Edmonds if he comes. We're up in 2 picks.
Do not take Chase Edmonds over Mecole Hardman.
Here's the thing.
I'm going to shake you like a baby, Drake.
We've got Jake Seeley. We got Jake Seeley behind us who literally has like no running back.
He's going to take Hardman to go with Patrick Mahomes, guaranteed. It'll be one of his 2 picks. If you miss Edmonds, it doesn't even matter. You can still get Darrington Evans. You can still get Keyshawn Vaughn.
It matters to me.
You can still get Joshua Kelly. I like all those guys. Hardman's the value, not Edmonds. Hardman is the value here. Come on, Drake. Don't play afraid. You went with Rieger to go with your gut. Don't turn into a pussy on me now. My wife's like, what the hell's going on in there?
Drew Davenport's on the board here. Drew might be watching us right now. So Drew, take one of these guys. So
no. Drake's like, Drew, just take Hardman so I can take Edmonds.
Yes. He just did. That son of a bitch.
Yeah, see, because he's smart.
He's watching the show probably. We're going to get him on here in a minute. All right, so we're up. If we're looking at receiver,
you're just taking Edmonds. You've been sitting here talking about the whole time. What are you waiting on? I got a minute
13 to talk to the people here. Running back, we're just looking around. Stoney's out there, but he's got a foot issue. We're not touching him. AP is still going to be the lead guy in that offense, which excites no one. Keyshawn Vaughn's out there. Madison's out there. Maybe we get him on the way back, but I'm locking down.
If you're not, here's the deal, Drake. Would you rather think about this? Do you want to play it safe or do you want to let it hang out here?
We're playing to win.
Right. So which way do you want to try to win? Because Madison gives you the upside of if Drake is healthy and Dalvin Cook goes down and you have Madison, you're winning this thing. You're winning it. Period. Done. And there's still a chance Chase Edmonds comes back to you here. Is Madison here? Is he available? Is that right?
I took Chase Edmonds. I had to pick him.
Oh, Drake, you're killing me.
Debo Samuel just went off the board.
Oh, you're killing me, Drake.
Hey, where the hell is it? Cross my board off here.
I was gonna tell Drake, folks, audience, I was gonna offer to do a main event team with him this year, but I don't think I can. He'll make me pull my hair out.
Yeah, let's see here. Copy it. Let's see if we can get Drew Davenport in here to talk to us. All right. We just invited him, Drew Davenport. We'll see if he comes on with us.
You know, Chase Edmonds would have came back, and you could have had Madison.
I don't know that.
Oh God, Drake. But think about it. Madison and Edmonds are the same thing, right? They're the same thing. So the better play is to take Madison because if Cook goes down, you're league champion. Period.
Who's to say I might not get? I'm on a tight turner. Who's to say Madison doesn't come back?
Because Madison goes ahead of Edmonds in every draft ever made.
Let's see. We got.
It's a percentages game, Drake. You take Madison here. There's a say 50% chance Edmonds comes back. You take Edmonds here. There's like a 20% chance Madison comes back. So it's like you always have to be thinking about how do you map. And you folks are probably like, man, you're really beating up on Drake. I'm not. Drake and I love each other. I'm trying to do this. It's really for the audience. This is my thought process I'm going through. And it's not to say that anything Drake is doing is wrong. I think Drake's doing a great draft. I'm just putting people through the paces of what I go through, drafting all the teams, that I draft. And the way I really try to think about things, it's like poker. You don't just think on the play you're on. You're thinking multiple moves ahead of your opponent, and that's how you win. And so from that aspect, Madison is it's the better play if you want to have both players.
I get that. My thought was trying to play the board and look at the guys. I want to lock that down, being that we do only have the 3 running backs, and Drake is no sure thing. As Jack Doyle just comes off the board. You want to say hi, Allie? Yeah. Hey, my daughter's here. Allie, you want to say hi to the folks? Let's see.
What's up, Allie?
There's Allie right there. Allie says hi. Hi. All right, stop running around upstairs. We can hear you all across America.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it, Allie. Keep doing it.
Another guy that we can hear all over the place is Drew Davenport. Drew, what's up, brother? Welcome to the party over here. Dwayne's screaming at me for some of my last few picks here. Let me see if I can get this board right.
Sorry, Drew. Drew, I'm just trying to help him. I'm doing it all in love, Drew. It's all in love.
Curtis Samuel just goes off the board. So you're Mr. Auction guy. Your big stage is coming up later today in the Kings Classic when the auction draft goes off. But what do you think about your team so far here in the snake draft?
Well, there's some guys on my team I didn't expect to have on my team. I'll tell you that. Can you hear me all right? Is it?
Yeah, gotcha. Picking
up? Great. Yeah, I mean, I did hear you guys talking about Hardman, but believe it or not, I had him queued up. I promise.
Drake, hey, look, Drake. Did Drake tell you, hey, did he drop you a DM? Look, $20, man. Just take Hardman so I can take the guy. Drake's butthole's all puckered up. He's got tunnel vision. He's like, Edmonds.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand that. I just had a conversation with a buddy of mine yesterday about, taking your own cuff for somebody else's. And, I'm kind of a tortured individual when it comes to fantasy sometimes with injuries. So I always want to get my cuff, but I understand it's not necessarily the most upside play.
All right. Hey, Dwayne, so we're up. Guess who's still there?
Good.
Ba, ba, ba.
And guess who would have still been there if we would have taken Madison? Chase Edmonds.
So we're loading up our running backs here.
Love
getting
it.
a few. Alexander Madison off the board. Thanks to Jake Seeley for going AP, and Doug Orth took Noah Fant. Before that, Curtis Samuel and Jack Doyle off the board. Since we've got Mr. Davenport here, let's go check out his squad. Let's see. Dude, how bad is this CBS site? I mean, thanks to the guys for hosting this, but it's not.
Are we doing something wrong, Drew? We can't find a draft board. Now, Drew, you're probably trying to make your pick. So you make your pick first, then we can chat.
I just went off the board with a weird one, but love Steven Sims this year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We've been talking Steven Sims since the end of last year, Drake. But I'm with you. I like him a lot. I mean, and somebody else has got to be a playmaker besides McLaurin. Will it be Gibson? We don't know. Could it be Sims? Possibly. Golden Gandy, is another. Golden Gandy. It just seems like, Golden Gandy seems like a name that should be, like just fantasy folklore. It's like the Golden Goose, Golden Gandy.
So you started out here. Your running backs are Derrick Henry and Chris Carson. So you're going to be pounding the rock with those guys. Julio, AJ Green, Jamison Crowder at wide receiver. Crowder, what a value there in the
yeah.
You just got him.
Well, I had really thought that the Singletary pick surprised even me, Brian. I heard you. But I mean, this league is crazy. I remember from last year with the running backs, and I thought by the time it came back to me, there wasn't a guy I saw that was going to get all the touches I wanted, so I went with Singletary, and then it kind of left me open at wide receiver. But I like Crowder as my third wide receiver. I was happy with that.
You took Darren Waller. He had a monster season last year. Do you think with all the additions to that offense, and they're talking about Josh Jacobs catching a few more balls, that his numbers dip in 2020?
Yeah, I do, actually. It's funny that I took him, but I do believe that because I think that it was sort of like a perfect storm last year with the injury to Tyrell, and then Renfro was banged up a little bit. I do think his numbers are going to fall a little bit. I felt it was a little bit crazy to get him in the 6th round, though, so I had to jump on it.
Let's see. Any stuff jump off the board for you in this draft? Anybody you looked at and you go, oh my God? Because to us, we're seeing these running backs just go crazy off the board. And we're like, wow, some of these guys are position scarcity is really getting on them. Yeah,
boy, Mark Ingram went real early. I think that.
Wow, that blew me away too.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I understand what he's doing. I don't necessarily think Dobbins is stepping in and just, taking over here. But second round, I think he could have had him a little bit later. Right. Wasn't it second round, I think?
Yes, that blew me away too. Look, hey, and if you follow my Twitter feed, I've been, and I'm not an Ingram homer, but I've been just what Drew's been saying here, talking about, look, Dobbins isn't going to just step in and take over. I mean, for where he's going in drafts, right, he goes right after guys with really good shots at their job, which are Swift and Akers, and then boom, right after that, Dobbins goes. It's just not, to me, Dobbins, an old school fantasy, which like 3 years ago, Dobbins is an 8th or a 9th round pick. But today it's like the world of poker 10 years ago. There's all these just hyper aggressive players entering the market, and they push the values of these guys like to the extent to where Kareem Hunt's the same way for me this year. It's like, okay, I like Kareem Hunt, but I'd like to take Kareem Hunt in the 7th round. I mean, Nick Chubb only happens to be one of the best players in the NFL, so it makes it tough to get value out of some of these guys, and you just have to be able to decide, okay, am I gonna just go with mass thinking, or am I actually gonna have my own thought process here, and what do I do? And so I'm with Drew. I can understand what was. I don't remember who drafted him, Drake. I can't remember. Sorry, who drafted Ingram? I can understand. Yeah. So his thought process, I'm actually in line with that. That Ingram's probably still going to be the guy more than not. But at the same time, with Dobbins there, could he have a little bit less work? Yeah. So I don't like Ingram in the 2nd, but I do get the thought process of Dobbins isn't just going to take his job.
Yeah.
Trying to promote us here.
Yeah, Drake, can you get over on the thing? I need to see who else going so I can mark off.
All right, by round. Let's see. So here's the last few picks. Let's run through it. A.J. Dillon was the last selection to Darren Armani, Fantasy Mojo. Golden Tate, always a value in drafts. Guy's going to catch 90 balls.
Guys need to remember with Tate, he's going to be on the field all the time with Slayton. they could run a lot more 12 this year with Jason Garrett. So the Sterling Shepard thing could get shakier than what people remember. Remember, under Shermer, they ran 11 all the time. And so that protected Sterling Shepard, who's a great slot receiver. But he could literally see his snaps drop by 10 to 15% this year. And so I think that Tate is actually the other receiver to own ahead of Sterling Shepard in the Giants offense.
Mike Williams to the guys at Dynasty League Football, Alan Lazard to the Tozy brothers. I think Lazard's a guy in a casual home league with your buddies, people are going to totally forget about, because who knows where he is on these draft sheets. He's not a household name. You can scoop him late, and he's going to be probably that second option in Green Bay. Again, it's a run-heavy offense, but
and on Mike Williams, Drake, like as long as Tyrod Taylor's in, that could be really good for Mike Williams. You know, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Tyrod Taylor over his career holds the ball 3.10 seconds, per throw, basically, whereas Phillip Rivers was like a 2.6 guy. So I think Keenan Allen and Eckler both get a little bit, they're going to be hurt a little bit as long as Tyrod's in there, because he's much more willing to hold on to the ball, try to buy time, get the ball deep. Well, who does that help? That helps Mike Williams. So remember, Tyrod Taylor, actually, the best year Sammy Watkins ever had of his career was with Tyrod Taylor. And it was when Sammy was more of a deep threat versus being used like he is in the Chiefs now, where they use him more as a Z underneath. They will send him deep still. But, they use Sammy almost more as a, hey, get him the ball and let him be kind of a running back after the catch kind of thing of the Chiefs. With the Bills, Watkins was running deep all the time, and Tyrod did a great job of getting the ball. So Mike Williams, the first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season, as long as Taylor's in, could actually surprise folks.
We got a couple of minutes here, maybe before we're back up on the clock.
So
here.
who all's gone? Sorry,
Drew's picking right before us.
Jefferson, Campbell.
I'd love to get to Stafford, Bryce Love, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Jackson are the last few picks. I'd love to hear a little auction strategy. Maybe folks out there aren't doing a ton of auctions, but just kind of like what's the elevator speech you tell somebody on doing an auction draft for the first time?
Well, that's funny you should say that, because I was just talking about that was somebody the other day who's doing their first one. And I know it sounds simple, but get in there and spend your money. You end up being real timid a lot of times when you're in your first couple auctions. So you just gotta do it, because you're going to get into the draft and think, okay, I've got all this money left, and who's left on the board? There's nobody to spend it on. So you got to spend money. You got to get a first round pick and a second round pick. You can't just sit there and scoop up a bunch of fifth rounders.
That happened to me last year in a draft I do year after year. There's keepers and all this. So everyone has different amounts of money coming into the draft. I think I left the draft with like $11, and I was so pissed. I'm like, what am I doing? I just missed out on guys, because I'm just notoriously cheap. My father instilled that in me. So,
well, I have that
being frugal myself. Got me.
I have that tendency myself. You can sit back and think, well, I don't care about that guy, or I don't care about that guy. And then you can, I don't care about that guy yourself into a massive cap sitting there. And then you're spending $10 on a defense at the end of the draft. So you just gotta get in there and spend your money. Now, you don't want to go crazy, because there's going to be a spot in the middle of the draft where you're going to see everyone else is out of money, and then all of a sudden you can scoop in and pick everything up.
So you're coming up here in a few picks.
Yes, sir.
You're ahead of us, so it's not like you're gonna,
Well, Rashad Perriman was my plan, so I think I need to go to plan B here.
But now this thing is, every time I move it, it's
love the Rashad Perriman plan. I'm totally in lockstep with you on that one, Drew. Love it.
Would have taken him too.
Yeah, that was.
We thought about him with the last pick.
I don't have a quarterback yet, but gosh, I don't really care at this point. So let's see here. I was looking at Justin Jackson too, so it looks like it's going to be the rookie in LA instead of Jackson.
I wonder who drafted that guy.
Jackson went to, looks like Marcus Grant. Huh?
No, I was talking about the other LA team. Thinking, I wonder who drafted the rookie over there. But
oh yeah. You got no. I'm taking Mr. Kelly. I think if he's can last to me.
D.D. Westbrook goes off the board.
I actually prefer Kelly. Drew. I mean, the way I'm looking at this backfield is I just like his size. And we've heard Anthony Lynn specifically talk about him being the guy that could really take on part of Melvin Gordon's role. I think it's going to be a 3-man backfield because Justin Jackson's also a good player. Talked about this with Matt Waldman on his podcast last weekend. We did a Chargers episode, and we spent a decent amount of time on it. And, Matt's a guy that when it comes to these like nuanced situations, like I really lean into his, thought process, and he talks a lot about the skills and the way they fit, and I think what you could see is, those two will split some of the carries, but I think Kelly's going to get more of the work inside the 5. But I think
Kelly just went.
I think Justin Jackson is the guy. Plan C. You always got to have the plan C. Justin Jackson, is the guy though that could, if Eckler were to go down, Jackson's a very viable receiver, out at the backfield. So I think they can both have value. But if I had to pick one to take on more of the carries that Melvin Gordon's going to leave behind, I think it's Kelly.
Oh gosh, guys, I don't know. Maybe I am going to be handcuffing my own guy here.
We did it, and I got yelled at.
Please don't yell at me, Dwayne.
I won't yell at you, Drew. I only yell at people that I love and I know. And it's not that I don't love you. I just don't know you that well yet.
Yeah, you want to talk about one of the best guys to have a beer with and shoot the breeze at the Kings Classic last year, man. I had a ton of fun with Drew Davenport.
Yeah, we had a blast last year. I was so bummed we weren't coming this year. But
you were the guy that Drake hung out with like fantasy row of superstars. And Drew, you were the guy he brought up the most. He was like, Drew's the best. Yeah, he's like you and Clay, because Clay, offered to take Drake, and
Clay bought me stuff.
Yeah.
Justin Jackson off the board to Marcus Grant.
No, you got to move up. That's not the last one.
This damn thing moves.
I know, it's terrible.
Tom Brady goes off the board there to the Tozy brothers.
This running back situation is quite poor.
So you're up, and then we're up after you.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get my guy here in case
Darrington Evans.
The unthinkable happens with my number 1 pick.
But Dwayne, we're here. I'm looking at tight end. We got Jared Cook, who's still there. He's old, but I wonder how much Emmanuel Sanders eats into him. And then let's see, running back wise,
is Debo still there this late?
No. I think he went. Wide receiver wise, I mean, let's
search Debo real quick. I had no clue where they.
He went.
He did go. Okay. Yeah, I can't. I'm having a hard time keeping up watching that queue over to the right.
He's gone.
Okay.
How do I get rid of this now?
This thing is the least intuitive. So here's the thing, Drake. While you're looking, here's the tier I have: Hawkinson, Cook, Fant, Gesicki, all the same tier. Unless you feel really particular about one or the other, you let the tight end go. You're going to get one going back. Who do you like most on your board? Unless you're wanting to go tight end. Who do you like most on your board?
Keyshawn Vaughn?
I'm down with it. People are totally just snoozing on him just because of the signing of McCoy and the fact that he was on the COVID-19 list. But you know me, I am not a Ronald Jones truther by any means.
We took him, but with like 3 seconds to go because this site.
That's okay. We're chatting with Drew. You're trying to manage this site. You're getting yelled at. I think you're doing a great job.
It is impossible to draft and host a show. So yeah, there's tons of guys here at tight end coming back. What'd you do at tight end, Drew?
This draft, or what do you?
Yeah, what'd you do at tight end so far? Do you got one?
Yeah, I got Waller in the 6th.
That's right. We talked about that.
Yeah, so I was. That is not my plan coming in here, but I thought him sitting there in the 6th was too good.
D.D. Westbrook, the next pick off the board after I go to.
Nope, you got to scroll up.
I hate this site every time. Brandon Ayuk to Jake Seeley.
Ayuk, we talk. Yeah, that's a good. I like that for Seeley. Hey, the last time Seeley came through, he did take Peterson, and so I think he was definitely thinking. I think Darrell Henderson was probably he was trying to make an upside pick early. It was really early for Darrell Henderson, but I think what he was doing was picking the upside with Henderson. Then he comes back with a balance, right, of Peterson. Of like, okay, I may have to start the year with Peterson, but maybe Henderson lands in a situation, or is able to win that job eventually. Which we hope doesn't happen because we have Cam Akers. So Drake,
this whole site's going crazy here. Let me look. Yeah, Adrian Peterson's gone. Okay. I'm looking up Adrian Peterson for the second year in a row in this draft.
Well, no, that's what I was just telling you. He took Peterson last round before ahead of us.
I just wanted to make sure.
Did. Yeah.
So what's new over at Football, guys, before we let you get out of here? Anything fun coming down the pike?
Well, I tell you what, I got most of my auction content pushed out and end of June, early July. But I do have my auction targets up. And the most exciting thing I'm doing right now is just my little video series. I'm having a blast with it.
Mm-hmm.
Got my 2-minute auction strategy videos and keeping them to the 220 to make them consumable on Twitter in a couple minutes. But I'm having a blast with that.
It's things people can read while they're taking a dump. Let's be honest. That's Dwayne and I talk about that all the time.
I agree. That's what I was after. So.
That was your market.
Exactly.
That was my market segment,
Drew,
which is a great market segment to have because everybody has to do that, Drew.
Cool.
Well, I wanted it to be easy and accessible and quick, and so people didn't have to spend a lot of time. I don't know about you guys. You open up a video and you see it's 6.5 minutes. You're like, I'll get to that later.
Oh, no, we do those all the time.
Shit. Well, we got videos you open up. It's 2.5 hours. Let's go.
Hey, I like that.
Take the day off work.
Believe me. I'm a fan of that, but I'm trying to play to the masses here.
Basically, we're trying to promote, the 2X feature, on how quickly you can listen to your podcast.
I do that. I do the 1.5. I can't do the 2.
Yeah, it depends on who's talking, but I'm typically a 1.5 guy. There are a few podcasters that I can do on 2 because they've got just a slower cadence anyway. But yeah, if I can't do like Sigmund Bloom on 2. It's like boom. It's like it's a language I don't understand. But there are other guys I can do it.
Yeah, I hear you. I love listening to Sig. Sig works on 2. Why wouldn't he? He's got a slow cadence, right? No.
I think for me with Sig, like 2 is too much. But hey,
he's dense. That's like his. I don't mean his brain. He is. He's got a lot.
I'm gonna DM Sig right now.
Yeah. He's got a lot.
Drew's over here calling you dense.
No, he just says so much. And
you meant heavy. You meant it's heavy.
Yeah, he packs everything in, and he's very. I love listening to him because he is so deep. But yeah, I don't think I can.
Very thought provoking.
That's true.
I don't know that there's anybody more thought provoking in fantasy football than Sig. Like he asked, on the couch is really the perfect name of of something that would be Sig's, kind of Sig. I mean, obviously, the Audible is huge, but just on the couch is like the perfect, like if I could name any podcast name, if I were to hear Sigmund Bloom, you hear the word Sigmund and then you hear the way he thinks and talks. It's like, it has to be on the couch. There's no other name it could be.
Yeah. I that's what I first got into when I was listening to podcasts was Sig's couch. So it's
still one of the very best. Holds up.
Yep, absolutely.
So we just started round 12 of 16 here at the Kings Classic. I need a tight end, and I'm up in 2 picks. Cook just went off the board, so we're still looking at Gesicki
or Fant. That's the tier
on deck. I'm not in love with any of those guys. Jonnu Smith just went.
Yeah, but you do need to take one at this point, Drake. You don't want to be locked out. You got to take one. Now, if you want to use a tiebreaker, you do have Parker. So do you want really two receivers on the Dolphins? Like some teams, obviously, we're fine owning 2 players from. The Dolphins aren't one of them, in my opinion.
What are we thinking? Sternberger, Ebron, Blake Jarwin.
That's later. I think. And did Fant already go? My pick would easily be Noah Fant.
Fant's gone.
He must be gone.
So if Fant's gone, then it is Gesicki. You just have to suck it up and go with it. It's still fine, Drake. He's going to be the second target on the team, at least until Williams is back. It's not optimal. But it's okay, dude. You've built a great team.
What about Herndon or Ebron?
If you're doing that, just wait. Gesicki's ahead of those guys.
I'm hearing some interesting names. Just kidding. I'm not.
We're on the clock. There's a part of me that says you could get a backup quarterback here too.
No.
High end. Cam Newton.
No.
Let's look at the running backs.
No.
Any running backs available?
You know what I'm dealing with, Drew?
Hey, don't be upset about Cam Newton. He might end up on someone's team soon.
Well, I like Cam Newton, but I'm not taking.
Wink.
I'm not. I don't want him when you already spent the early pick on Josh Allen.
I agree with you there.
Look at these running backs here. My God. Let's go switch over to wide receiver.
Do you want me to tell you who to take, or you want to keep stumbling around?
No, I'm looking here.
Why don't you just hand the controls over to Dwayne, Brian?
I do go type A, but you should draft Gesicki here, and it shouldn't even be a thought. It should.
There's thoughts. Trust me.
It should be click it and go. You can still come back. You're going to still try to come back and get one of those other tight ends. You got to take
Gesicki. Just went.
Gesicki just went.
Oh, well then, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, scroll up, Dwayne.
I can't scroll up. I'm depending on Drake to scroll up. I'm not in this draft room.
You know what? We're doing it, Dwayne. Cam Newton.
Oh my gosh, Brian!
I'm logging off.
I'm never coming on your show again, Brian.
Were you going to take it right there?
I'm never coming on our show again, Drew. What are you talking about?
It's all good. It's all good. There's plenty of guys left. That was definitely what I was about to do.
Well, see, here's what it is. So Gesicki's gone. Couldn't take him. So now we're dropping down a tier of tight end. We still don't have.
Yeah, but you're in a league that starts 3 flex players, dude.
Okay.
You got to go. I would go Randall Cobb there. I would go. I mean, I would even consider T. Higgins, James Washington. I mean, I would consider all those players because you're going to get these guys aren't going to draft backup quarterbacks. It just ain't going to happen. You're going to still end up with it won't be Cam Newton, but you're going to get Tannehill, Bridgewater,
I got you.
Cousins, something.
I think the upside of Cam Newton is, he could be a top 5 quarterback. Is there trade value there? Absolutely.
Can we trade in this league?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a best ball. This is a play it out season league.
But can you trade?
Sure.
Are we sure? Because most leagues like this don't allow it.
Nope, they allow it. This is a real deal draft. You can make trades.
Well, then I'll okay it because it sounds like you're going to trade Cam Newton to Drew soon.
We might make it happen during this right now.
Yeah, you want James Washington?
You guys should strike a deal.
So my roster right now, if we're looking at it, Josh Allen. Oh, God damn, this site is the worst. Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Kenyon Drake, Austin Eckler. There's my running backs. Wide receiver, we got Devonta Parker, Steph Diggs, Adam Thielen. And then we look down, we've got running backs on the bench, Alexander Madison, Keyshawn Vaughn, Cam Newton is our backup quarterback. Didn't we get Chase Edmonds too?
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell is he? How is he not showing up here in my roster grid? What is going on with this?
If you click on roster grid and then there's 3 spots, positional, by draft order, by team.
He's right there, Drake. He's over to the right. You see Rager, Akers, Edmonds.
Yeah.
He's on there.
He's on there. I see him.
Okay. There we go.
Jeez. I also see that you have a backup quarterback. I'm just trying to make Dwayne irritated.
Mm-hmm. So this is what it's.
I can only make suggestions, Drew.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to go with your gut there, folks.
I'm just trying to help the audience. This is how I whip the ass of people like Brian Drake in most of my drafts.
But again, I'm not going to go there and take, I got a chance to get a guy who's could be a top 5 player at his position.
I get it.
And then I'm going to go and take Randall Cobb. I can get guys like Randall Cobb.
You can't.
Other time.
You can't. You're about to run out of them. That's the problem. You got to start.
Comes back.
You got to start 3 of them, right? And then you've only got 4. Where quarterback, you only have to start 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's now where I'll give you the benefit of the doubt is the trade thing. I didn't know there's a trade, so you could potentially move Cam Newton. So I like that.
Yeah, in a 14-team league with him and Josh Allen, you move him for someone who's going to be better than this tier of player. Is it ideal? No, but somebody's going to be playing chicken out there, and they're going to be going like, oh my God, I'm starting Ryan Tannehill.
Hey, don't speak badly about Ryan Tannehill. And he's got some sneaky rushing upside for this 4-point, touchdown. I think it's -2 on interceptions too. So
let's roll through some of these last few picks here. Larry Fitzgerald just goes off the board. There's Chris Herndon. He's a guy that I like. Carlos Hyde and Brian Edwards. Dallas Goedert off the board. And James Washington to some random dude. LaVisca Chenault.
Is Randall Cobb even available?
Yep.
Sure is. That was my decision, Cobb or Washington.
So you're not getting him coming back if Cobb's there. That's
Corey Davis just goes off the board.
Yep.
Dwayne's going to jump out a window in about 5 seconds.
Well, it's already over. I mean, the guys that were in that tier, unless Cobb gets back to you, that's just why I would have passed. It's just a strategic thing. It's the allure of Cam Newton, is one thing, but like roster construction wise,
I get that.
If you make a deal, great, but let's get Nelson Salza and some of these guys that have won some major money on here and have them walk through this. You think I'm ripping you? Salza, that dude can spit fire. Like he'll jump on and get onto my draft boards. I'm like, oh, he's actually got a point about that pick. Chad's the other guy that's fun to do that with. Chad Schroeder. I've had Chad rip apart many of my draft boards, and I'm like, oh man.
Hey Brian, don't forget Terrell Williams is still there.
Let's not speak ill of those not drafted yet. Drew and I would have a running Twitter commentary last year on Darrell Williams from the Kansas City Chiefs. And there was one game last year we had to play him in like week 15 or something or whatever it was. And he scored like 2 touchdowns and we just lost our minds. Like, yes, it came through.
And didn't he have like literally like 14 yards rushing, but he had scored twice?
Yep.
It was just a terrible game overall, but he had 2 plunges.
Lamar Miller and Ian Thomas, the last 2 off the board.
Did Lamar Miller just start off right away on the pup?
Probably. They just signed him and go, we're going to sit your ass down for about 6 weeks. There's Blake Jarwin. Marcus Brown. So we're going to be stretching a little bit here at tight end.
Hey, to be fair, Drake, you can yell at me. I told you that you could pass that tight end tier, and one of them would come back, and they didn't.
That's okay.
They all went. So
there you go, Mr. Roster Construction.
You could tell me it's my fault.
Raquel Armstead, the next guy off the board. We're just chugging along here in the Kings Classic, round 13.
And there's 16 rounds, right?
Yeah. Blake Jarwin, Lamar Miller, Ian Thomas, another one off the board. So there's going to be a couple of guys here at tight end who I still like. Let's see.
Don't say them out loud.
All right. Well, if anyone just happens to be watching on this YouTube feed we're doing and the page is pulled up, let's see. There's a few guys here. Go down. Oh, Vance McDonald's still there. Dawson Knox. Oh, look at the value.
Dude, Nick Boyle's there.
James O'Shaughnessy. Oh, no, I better not talk about him.
Don't call out the best player left, man.
Dan Arnold, who's an athletic guy that might make some noise in Arizona. Not even joking about that one.
Don't forget about CJ Uzomah.
Wow, talk about a guy that has an athletic profile that when you watch him, he looks like a snail. CJ Uzomah.
Uh-huh.
That's a player profiler pick, right? That's if you just go to player profile, which is a great site, but when people go to that and they overweight it, that's like when CJ Uzomah like rises the board. And I'm like, you just got to go watch the game and you're going to be over CJ Uzomah in like about 2 minutes.
Didn't you get in a fight with Silva over the Bengals tight ends online?
Oh, no. That was, it was over that, but it was over Higbee. Which is so funny now because that's why every time Evan comes on the show, there's our inside joke about Higbee because he went on. Evan basically said, Tyler Higbee sucks, And I was like, well, I don't think Tyler Higbee sucks. He's just never had his opportunity. And then he exploded. But yes, it all came out of the Cincinnati 12 personnel conversation.
You're on the clock next, Drew. Then we'll let you get out of here and do your thing. Get ready for that big auction draft this afternoon. So who are you going to take? You can make your next pick live on air. The Tozy brothers.
Smith's gone.
I apologize in advance, sir, but I'm looking at Eric Ebron pretty hard. And, I need a running back, but I really just don't like what's left.
Whatever running back that you're going to hope comes back, I'm taking him with that next pick. There's Darrell Williams right here. Look at this.
I'll see
him up on the board.
I see your Cam Newton, and I raise you an Eric Ebron.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, honestly, that one of my thoughts is with all these flexes. I mean, we eliminated two.
Drake, pull up the roster grids. Look at the guys behind us and see how many tight ends they have. Is this in order of the draft or no?
Chris Prince doesn't have one. Everybody just has one. Well,
but behind you, so picks 11, 12, 13, and 14.
We're on the clock now. You can't even tell with it by draft order. Here we go.
There we go.
Well, hey guys, I'll let you get back to it.
Yeah, take it easy, Drew.
Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Good times. Nice job, everybody. I will see you in the auction room.
All right, brother. See you later.
Take it easy, Drew.
So it looks like everybody's got one.
Yeah, but they don't have multiple, so you got to take one here.
Yeah. So let's go.
Are
so
you
we're
going
looking
Sternberger?
We're looking at Sternberger.
If you go upside at Sternberger, he could be the second option in the entire Packers offense if Lazard doesn't come through.
What are your thoughts on grabbing a backup, or none of these guys worth it? Gerald Everett.
I think if you want a perfect one, it's OJ Howard, just because the Bucs are going to run 12 personnel all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to be on the field all the time. So that's the other guy. I mean, I would take. Plus, then if Gronk goes down, then you're sitting on potentially some gold. OJ Howard, let's not forget, people are trying to write him off, and I know they signed Gronk, but he's a very, very, very talented player. So and he's proven that. It's not just like, it's based on his draft round. No, in the games he's played until last year, he had proven that.
Appreciate all you folks hanging out with us watching the Kings Classic Draft. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button.
What I would say, though, Drake, is you've got to draft. If Randall Cobb is still there coming back, you take him and just see if Howard will slide back to you. Otherwise, you'll just work the wire, or you'll trade for one. But I think the best value is Cobb by far if he's there.
Cobb's there, Reynolds, Greg Ward, who they're talking up as we scroll through some of these guys.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think there's more people in our draft room actually using this board than I thought.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you. I've almost gotten to the point now. You get to this point in the draft where you're like, I'm just not even.
The other guy I watch is Josh Reynolds. He's going to be on the field all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Josh Reynolds and Robert Woods on the field for all plays. Cooper Kupp will rotate in 11. But if the Rams run more 12 this year, you're going to see quite a bit less Cooper Kupp than what people are probably anticipating. So Reynolds, Cobb, and OJ Howard would probably, if this were me, those would be the top of my queue, like as far as my next two picks. If I could get two of those three, I would love it.
Here's the straight trash left at running back. My God.
Greg Olson's another guy you could throw on the queue. Just like, you're not going to be excited about it, but you grabbed an upside guy in Sternberger, and then Greg Olson's just kind of like, hey, your dude. He's kind of like your Adrian Peterson of tight ends.
What about Will Dissly?
Well, I think Olson, based on everything I see, is gonna be the one. Disley's only going to be on the field in the 12. Yep.
I can't believe Olson came back. Like, just go make money, sit in the booth. Why are you going to go out there and get hit all the time?
Yeah, he loves the game, man.
He should do a podcast with Jason Witten, just guy and the Undertaker, just guys who don't know when to give it up.
Just pull a rabbit out of your head.
KJ Hamler off the board, Big Ben, Jared Goff. So we're up in 3 picks coming back through. I'd be more than fine with passing on tight end here. Just play the wire or whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I think Cobb is by far the easiest value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cobb could legit have 1,000 yards. Think about this. Brandon Cooks has had concussion problems. Will Fuller, we've already talked about, right? He's going to be hurt. He's going to be out of games. So, I mean, Cobb could quickly become, one of the top options in the passing game quickly. And I already think he's going to be the third, in a team that I think is going to try to pass the ball a little bit more. But I mean, we'll see.
I don't know if anybody who's drafting behind me is watching this here, but we're going to try to throw them off by just putting up random other players they think we might take. Right there. Dante Pettis. That's who we want. Remember how much we talked him up last year?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, great route runner, solid release, but just didn't play physical enough to what Shanahan wanted in the blocking game. And just wasn't as physical after the catch as what Debo ended up being. And I think, that's what ultimately hurt him. I think Pettis could still be a good, NFL receiver, to be honest, if he's in the right kind of scheme that values more, of what his skill set brings.
Here, let's trick people and think we're going to take Greg Ward. We'll put his face up there. So John Ross and KJ Hamler, the last two picks off the board. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on The Hustle. Check out the last two shows we did. Man, they were good, dude. That John Hanson show was fantastic.
It was phenomenal.
Evan Silva was info packed. So go back in the archives, either on YouTube or iTunes, wherever you get the show. Check those guys out. Damn good stuff. Give us a good review on iTunes if you're still hanging out. There's a number of you that are. So the Kings Classic, the way this is set up is there's 3 divisions. And we're in kind of this middle division. There's another division they just added this year that's kind of an international one. But there's also Barfield, Silva, our guys from the 5-yard rush are all in that new division. So that'll be a hell of a party next year. Jake Seeley takes Randall Cobb right in front of us.
I would just take Reynolds. If you want, Reynolds probably won't even get drafted, to be honest. I mean, if you want to get Howard here, you can. But I mean, you've only got 4 receivers. That's the one thing.
I think we play defenses in this league.
Oh, well, I don't even know.
Yeah, you do.
Are you sure? No, has anybody even drafted one?
They haven't, but they're available.
I don't think it.
Kickers aren't available, but defenses are.
Dude, I don't think.
I'm not going to worry about it. I'll wait till somebody else starts taking them. Somebody goes, hey, that son of a bitch Drake took a defense. We're not even playing him. This guy's really playing chess out here. We're all playing Connect 4.
Connect 4. I would go with Howard or Reynolds. I mean, just take Howard, dude, because you got Sternberger as upside. I think Reynolds will come back to you.
Dwayne's just giving up on this draft at this point.
No, dude, I like Howard as a very late pick in deep leagues. I mean, I think you just went upside. You get Sternberger and Howard. I think it's fine. You come back. Your biggest question here is, we've only got 4 receivers on this team. You got to start 3, and we got a bunch of backup running backs who you don't really want to flex. And that was why I was pushing so hard on you around Cam Newton.
Understandable.
Because you got 2 flex spots right now that are a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we get it down to 1. If we can make sure Akers hits, right, and you make sure Rager hits, which aren't guarantees.
They're in. I mean, they're starting for me.
Well, they have to. I know, but that's why I was pushing on you around guys like Cobb and some of these other guys. I don't even care where they go. It's about roster construction. It's like, hey, if I can get Cobb, and then I can get Josh Reynolds too, it's just that you're going to have to go make a trade of Cam Newton, and if you can find the right trade partner for that, to pick up another flex player, then you're in business.
There are no defenses. I just checked that out. There's some of these low-end wide receivers here who I think could make a play. So Denzel Mims is banged up. No one's going to talk about him. Alshon. Cole Beasley, although we don't want to get too heavy on the Buffalo side. There's Reynolds, Greg Ward. Willie Snead still out there. Mohamed Sanu. Adam Humphreys, who was hurt last year, but I mean, they paid him to come in there and play the slot.
I don't like any of those guys, though. Adam Humphries is a third or fourth option in a run-first offense.
I'm just trying to give you the who's here.
It's the same thing for Beasley. I mean, Amendola is kind of in a Brian Edwards did get drafted, right?
I believe so.
I can't keep up with this thing on the right, the way it keeps bouncing around. So
awful. Josh Reynolds just went. So did Joe Burrow. Being that you have to fill these slots at flex, it kind of precludes you from taking running backs here late.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, that's just why I go back to that one inflection point. When you take the backup runners, right, where you did, and you basically leave a hole over there, and who are your flex players? That's where, if I were to give you a critique, that's where you lost sight, right, of the draft. You did good I like all the players you took and where you took them. But as far as putting together really the best roster that's going to win this league, those two flex spots, you got three flex spots you have to have. I think two of them are super, super shaky right now. And you're going to get outscored in those two spots by some of these other rosters.
Let's look around because it's so tough with this damn site. Positional breakdown by team.
Did Denzel Mims get drafted? I mean, he's going to be on the field in 3 wide
Not yet.
sets. Okay. So, I prefer a guy like that, to be honest, over a slot receiver, because Mims at least brings you some upside. If Perriman doesn't turn out as well, and remember, Mims is a guy that, Waldman and Jay Moyer loved. They both loved him. So you got the double stamp of approval from two film guys. So that gives you some upside as a receiver. I think the other one to think about, Drake, and it's just upside and you can dump it later. Lazard, I mean, people are totally writing off Valdez-Scantling. Remember, he was the 2 last year until he got dinged up. And then he wasn't really the same, but he was the deep threat on the team. And I still think he will be when they go to 3 wide, which they did quite a bit. They use a lot of 21, a lot of 12. So he didn't quite get enough 11 personnel, but he could still beat out Lazard. So I think here what you're looking for, if I were you, I wouldn't be looking for just points. I would be looking for who do you think are the top upside receivers that could, very quickly by week 2, you're like, damn, glad I got this guy. I can put him in.
Right.
I don't know if T. Higgins went yet. That would be another name. But so like Higgins, Mims, Valdez.
Mims is gone. We're looking now at Higgins is there. So you're looking at Greg Ward, where they're talking up. God, this is bad news. Humphreys. Aguilar's still there. Thank God.
Thank God. That's your safety blanket.
Devonta Scantling, Pascal. Duvernay
has Golden Gandy gone? He's likely to be on the field every play. That's kind of what you got to think about here. Who's a player that's going to be out there all the time that at least has a chance, to surprise us?
Let's see. Looks like he's still available.
Look at that, Drake, 6'4", 223. He's got nice hair. I like that hair.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
I like him because somebody on the Redskins, we've already said it, and we don't know who. Somebody besides the name Terry McLaurin has to do something. And just like Waldman also is an approval on Golden Gandy.
Tyrod Taylor off the board. So people are taking backup quarterbacks here for sure. Maybe just not as early as I took the Cam Newton pick. So I can give that to you.
Look, Cam Newton, here's where we agree. I loved your thought process around, look, dude, I'm getting a guy that could be a top 5 quarterback. You're right. And I totally agree. And here's the other thing to give you credit. Josh Allen, we both know, is shaky. So if Allen's your one and you think Newton and Allen, could end up being interchangeable, look, I think there's thoughts. There's good reasons. The problem is when you look at the picks we made before, we passed receiver continually to pound on those runners, and that's what made Cam Newton a tougher pick. It wasn't that he wasn't a value at the spot. It wasn't that he's not a good player. Everything you said is true. Again, it's just roster construction. Had one of those backup runners that you took earlier been a receiver, it would put a little less pressure. Then Cam Newton's an easier pick to make. So it's really just about that. I think you got value on Cam Newton, no doubt. But again, roster construction, and this is where what we're trying to help them with, right? And that's why this is actually a great pod for us to talk through that stuff. It's beyond just value on the board. It's about how your roster's constructed versus the starters that you've got to have. And when you make certain decisions about, like when we grabbed Keyshawn Vaughn and Alexander Madison and Chase Edmonds, which I like all of them, those decisions are what really change the process and of what you have to think about with Cam Newton. It's not so much Cam Newton himself, if that makes sense.
We're going to be coming up here. I sent a message over to our guy, Bob Long, who runs the Kings Classic. He wants to come say hello. Kyle Rudolph off the board here.
You just going to bitch at him about the software?
Lynn Bowden. Yeah, the CBS guys.
So Mims went. Did Higgins go?
No.
So you kind of got Higgins, and Higgins is hurt right now. That's the only thing with him that worries me. But I mean, it's still early. You know what happens with these receivers, Drake? They get hurt in training camp, and all of a sudden we never hear from them again. It's like, oh, they were buried their rookie year. So I mean, I do get worried about that.
Mm-hmm. We're up in 2. I got Golden Gandy lined up.
Yeah, I think Golden Gandy and then Higgins is your next guy. Would be my thought process. And then after that is maybe Valdez Scantling. The other guy that, if you want to go homer, is if you think for some reason, is Arcega-Whiteside going to have to play until Jeffrey's back?
Oh, I think they would rather put Greg Ward out there over Arcega-Whiteside and then play 12 and just have.
So. I mean, what I read last week was that Arcega-Whiteside is actually going to be out there. The thing that people forget with Goddard, yes, the Eagles want to run 12, but they ended up having to. Everyone was hurt. They don't really want to run 12 half of their plays. That's not their plan. They'd like to run it like 30% of their plays. And I'm just asking, you're closer to the Eagles than me, but to me, Arcega-Whiteside's going to get the first chance to play Alshon Jeffrey's spot. He was a second-round pick. He's a better fit in that role. Greg Ward's a slot player. He ain't meant to be playing outside, especially in 12 personnel.
They're talking, I listen to, Adam Kaplan. He's real in tune with the Birds, and he was saying they're training Rieger a little bit at the X. They want to get him involved all over the place. Is Arcega-Whiteside playing more? Yeah, but how talented is he at the end of the day, too? Sometimes you take a guy in the second round, you go, he can't separate. It's just a miss. And Alshon's not dead. He's going to come back and play. So now you're looking at Arcega-Whiteside. If he was on the field at any point, he's literally like the 5th option. They'd rather probably throw it to Sanders, to any tight end, to Djax, and to Rieger before him.
End of the draft rate, what I'm telling you is he was a second-round pick, and they didn't use him to his strengths. He could absolutely burst out, and it could happen in the first few weeks. You're just looking for upside here. So, I mean, I think if you're looking at a list of players, because Alshon's going to, yes, eventually be back, but theoretically a guy like Arcega-Whiteside could have a chance to win the role. And that's all you're looking for. You're just trying to catch lightning in a bottle. And he was still a second-round pick. So that's just where my head's at. Obviously, there's other options. I like Golden Gandy. I like Higgins.
Yeah, I took Golden Gandy. We just had our pick.
Okay.
So it's going to come back to us here in a minute for our final selection. Some receivers still on the board. Like we said, Greg Ward, T. Higgins. Even, my God, Willie Snead's available. Kenny Stills. Kendrick Bourne.
The good thing about Stills is if Cooks was hurt, if Fuller goes down, he immediately steps in. The problem is Stills just hasn't really given us what we want when he's had those chances. Here's
a guy doing. How about Russell Gage in Atlanta?
Yuck.
T. Higgins just went.
And look, I like Russell Gage. It's fine, but he just doesn't. He's not going to move the needle a ton for you. He's going to be the 4th or 5th option on a team that's going to pass a ton. So it's like it's better than having Adam Humphries, but if you're wanting to go with a guy that's kind of a low ceiling, high floor, I mean, I think you might be better off going with like a Cole Beasley. If that's what you're trying to do, I would keep trying to swing upside though. I mean, I would take Arcega-Whiteside, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Heck, I would even take Devin Duvernay over that, just because
Chase Claypool available.
With Duvernay, the one sneaky thing, right, is you get rid of Hayden Hurst. So they're going to not run there's going to be a little bit less of 12 this year, and you're not going to see 13, which they ran, I think, more than any other team in the league last year. And Duvernay could quickly become an additional inside weapon, which is where Lamar Jackson likes to attack. So Duvernay could really surprise people. I'm with you. I mean, Claypool would be fine, as well. I don't know how much of a path he has to starter, snaps.
Frank Gore's still available.
Go get him.
Oh, man. Let's see. Boy, there is nothing here at running back.
Yeah, but you don't even need running back. That's the thing.
I'm just scrolling through if people are looking. Let's just say, who are the quarterbacks for still? So, I mean, there's still a lot, to be honest. Cousins, Jimmy G, Carr, Locke.
I wouldn't draft a quarterback. I'm
just trying to show people who's still here.
Right. And well, this is part of the other reason why just passing on Newton would have been okay if you just felt like you needed a backup. Now, again, Drake's going to go pull off the monster of all trades this year, folks.
That's what I do. We'll come back on the show and I'll tell you when I trade, when I end up trading Cam Newton for, like James Conner or something 2 weeks into the season. Let's see if Devin Duvernay is available. 2 picks. He's going to play in the slot here in Baltimore.
And they can run a lot more 11 this year is really my point that I was trying to make a little bit earlier. If you look at the way they're crafting their team, they get rid of Hayden Hurst. They didn't go sign another tight end. They've just got Nick Boyle and Mark Andrews. So and then if you look at, last year they draft Miles Boykin to play outside. This year they grabbed Duvernay to go inside. They still have Willie Snead. I mean, so there's potential. He's got to pass Willie Snead first, though, on the depth chart. That's the thing with Duvernay.
We could have just taken Willie Snead, son of a bitch.
Who wants Willie Snead, though?
All right, so there's the squad. We've gotten through 16 rounds. At quarterback, Josh Allen and Cam Newton. My runners are Austin Eckler, Kenyon Drake, Keyshawn Vaughn, Alexander Madison, Cam Akers, Chase Edmonds. At my receivers, we're going Thielen, Diggs, Parker, Rager, it gets a little shaky, Golden Gandy, and Duvernay. And I got Sternberger and OJ Howard. Again, 14-team league. So you can't be great everywhere. We're definitely not great at tight end. And we're going to have, but everyone has depth issues. You look around some of these teams and you go like, Mike Woolard, 4 for 4, on the back of his bench. He's got Gage, Hamler, Damian Harris, Rashard. So there we have it, my man. Let's see. Someone's blowing up my phone here. Must be all the fans out there just going like, man, what a pick. What a draft. You don't even need this McFarland guy.
What's funny is you're going to win the league and it's all going to be based off of a trade of Cam Newton.
Hey,
and I said, Drake, like with the trade thing, that's how it can work out. Look,
yeah.
There are multiple paths, but again, most folks are playing, when we look at, these leagues they're playing in a lot of leagues where you can make trades. So I like that point, but I just have to make the roster construction point. Again, if you didn't have to have 3 flex players, that changes everything. But when you have to have 3 flex and we basically stacked up upside running backs who you can't put in your lineup yet, that's the conundrum. Those 2 things coming together are what puts friction around the Cam Newton pick. If that makes sense.
Well, before we get out of here, we're actually joined by the godfather of the Kings Classic himself, Bob Lung. You know him. He's running his consistency guide over there at Big Guy Fantasy Sports. What's going on, Bob? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Hustle.
Oh, God, I need a drink.
Hey, Brian can help you with that, Bob. Brian's in the business.
Yeah. Liquor salesman and all.
I always go to the scene from, I think it's called Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, where it says, bring me a drink every 5 minutes or 7 minutes, so I pass out, then bring one every 5. So yeah, no, it was a little hectic. We've had a few issues behind the scenes, but we pulled it off and we got through it. So let's hope the auction goes a little smoother. So, but yeah, no, it's been great. It was hectic because me and two of the other guys, one in each draft, are drafting and entering in the picks into the draft board. So the guys at Sirius Radio, and when they're picking, every 3 seconds, man, it gets rough.
Yeah, it's crazy. We were trying to find here on CBS like a large field roster grid, and they just don't have it.
They do not, and that's why we have to do it manually.
Oh my God.
So I love Dave Rich from CBS Sports. He's a good friend of mine, but dude, we gotta
fix this.
If that wasn't bad enough, the Dawson division had a guy, Evan Silva, who obviously everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, 10 minutes before the draft was going to start, he got in a car accident.
Oh, now, man.
He's okay, but he emailed me and said, I'm sorry, I got in a car accident. I was coming home from the airport, picking up my brother, thought I'd be home in time, and it's not going to happen. And so they had to auto draft. Well, the auto draft picked 7 tight ends for him. So that's a problem. So anyway, that was the only 2 things, that and Dom Centrino couldn't get into the software because obviously, I don't know, something about email issues or whatever. But so, like I said, we got through it. It sounds great on Sirius, so make sure everybody listens to that tonight at 5 p.m. on Fantasy Sports Radio. But yeah, it was great, and looking forward to the auction draft here starting in about a half hour.
That's awesome, man. So it's unfortunate we couldn't get out to Canton, Ohio this year and do the Kings Classic. And you also run the Midwest Fantasy Football Expo. So I think that wasn't going down this year either, right?
Right. No. Everything gets canceled. Everything's on hold. We hope everybody, we get a vaccine and everybody's healthy and we're all back together partying at BW3s tonight. So
that's cool. Did you draft a team in the?
I did. And
how'd you do?
Well,
is it going to be a consistent performer, Bob?
Oh, of course it is. 2 things. One, these drafts are the best of the best. And it doesn't matter what division you're in. It's not, nobody's any more special because you're in the Jim Brown division versus George Bland versus Len Dawson. I've handpicked these guys, these sites, because they, in my mind, are the best of the best. Now, some of them are the best, can't make it or can't draft every year. So, we don't have everybody, but I think we have a damn good collection. And so, this is not your typical, home draft. You're going to get sniped like you're in a, American Sniper movie. It's ugly. So all you can do is, set your queue up, watch everybody disappear, and then hope you get one of them before it gets back to you. But I came out of the 3rd hole. I took Zeke, of course. And then from there went kind of back and forth with running backs and wide receivers because, with the extra 3 flexes, you can load up on a lot of different positions and be good. So I went Zeke, Galladay, Chris Carson. I could not pass up Patrick Mahomes in round 4. The fact that he made it that far, to me, just like, I got to do this. And
14-teamer, and you're at the 3rd pick. So what pick was that?
So that was basically almost the end of the 4th round.
So it's 42 picks plus however many picks to you in that round.
Right. So I went Mahomes, and then so round 5, AJ Green, 6, Marvin Jones. So there's my 3 running backs. I got 2 for Detroit, but you know what? Those guys are both very consistent in that system. Evan Ingram is my tight end, CeeDee Lamb, Nyheim Hines. After basically round 7, then I started just getting the best player available with the most upside. It's like I got my 7 consistent players. Now I've got to find guys that can make the difference in a league like this. So Nyheim Hines, good PPR back playing with Phillip Rivers, Curtis Samuel, Bryce Love, Jared Goff, Larry Fitzgerald, Jalen Richard, Lamar Miller, and then Kendrick Bourne. So, I just went with a lot of different guys that a little bit of consistent, what you get out of Fitz, but getting him in round 13, I was okay with that. Lamar Miller.
I like the Curtis Samuel pick.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel is my basically fifth receiver. CeeDee Lamb is my fourth. I
love the Lamb pick. I tried to get Drake to go Lamb, and we went Rigger, but hey, I can't help it. He's an Eagles fan. I don't blame him. I'm a Cowboys fan.
I had to homer it up.
Right. So anyway, but I like my team based on where it is, what it's, in this league. I look at the other teams, and it's interesting when you hear the guys commenting from Sirius Radio. Now it's going to be on air tonight, but I was in the room with the Sirius guys listening to them talk, and it's funny how they love certain teams, and then I sit there and go, "That's okay,"
right?
And they didn't talk a lot about my team other than they love my Patrick Mahomes 4th round pick. But beyond that, but every team is going to have holes when it's 14 teams,
right?
And that, like they said, and I think it was the best phrase of the whole show. If you walk out of this draft and you loved every pick, you're probably drunk or high or something, because you're never going to love every pick in a draft this big with this group of people.
And it's only 12:20 here in the East. So, if you want to crack one now, that's all right.
Yeah, I might go down and grab the Captain Morgan bottle and just sit it by me for the auction. But, it's, so a deep league like this, you hope some of those guys after round 8, 9, 10 hit. If Bryce Love becomes the guy in Washington and Peterson, gets hurt or just doesn't have it anymore, and Bryce Love kicks it in, that could be the lifesaver. Or Nyheim Hines getting 10, 15 points a week as a PPR back for Indy could be, So, it's one of those things where if one of those guys can hit or a couple of those guys can hit, and waiver wire pickups will be a difference. Last year in the snake draft, I forget which draft it was, one of the ones, but I made the finals against Patrick Doherty of Roto World. Well, I was loaded. I had Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler and Patrick Mahomes, and my team was loaded. I lost, to who? Ryan Fitzpatrick, Devonta Parker, Rashad Perriman. He
waiver wire all-stars.
Yeah. And, he had other good players, but it was those guys who had the big week in week 16 that knocked me out, and I lost. And it's like, so – in leagues like this, you guys know this, you've been playing for a couple years too. It doesn't end here. There's a lot of work to be done, and roster management, and waiver wire, and fab use are so crucial. And it's going to be even more crucial this year with COVID. And you don't know, Patrick Mahomes could be 10 minutes from going in and they get tested and he's positive. Next thing you know, boom. Do you have a backup? Are you ready? Can you, so it's going to take everything you got to be on top of these leagues and be on top of your team and make sure that, you're doing a good roster management. So it's that's why it's, the best of the best. And we all are, excited to compete against each other. And, but it's good. It's good teamwork. It's a good team too. We all are great guys. The most disappointing part is, like you said, we're not in Canton.
I know.
And hanging out. So we'll get to that next year.
The most fun draft I've ever been a part of. So cool, the experience out there last year, and hopefully next year we get to go do it again. Yep. Me and Steve from Fighting Chance Fantasy, and hopefully Dwayne gets to hop out there too. This is Bob Lung. You can follow him on Twitter at Bob_Lung from Big Guy Fantasy Sports. He is Mr. Consistency. He's got a great consistency guide. If you're just getting back into fantasy football right now, you want to check things out and get ready for your draft, go on Amazon. He's got a great best-selling fantasy guide. Download it, support, a good, he's not from one of these big monster sites that has 8,000 guys working for it. He's just a good dude living out there in Ohio, making some cash. And we know we see emails flying left and right. You got to get ready for this auction. So we'll let you get out of here.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Take care, Bob.
All right, bye.
There you go. So there's the great Bob Lung. We appreciate him jumping on board. And we're going to get out of here ourselves. If you're sticking around this long, thank you. Dwayne, thanks for coming on here and beating the hell out of me with my picks. And we'll see what that Cam Newton pick becomes, because that's really my season will hinge on now.
Hey, I'm rooting for it, Drake. I'm rooting. Hey, seriously though, like if you look at the early part of the draft, to give you I thought you nailed it. Going Drake, Eckler, Akers, and then watching what happened to everyone else at running back, I thought you clearly demonstrated why in a field, especially like this, a 14-teamer with sharp players, I think the strategy was the right one. And you still were able to have Adam Thielen, Devonta Parker, and Stephon Diggs as your 3 receivers, all the clear lead targets on their team. Adam Thielen is going to be in a funnel situation. He's a lock for 150 targets. I'm probably a little higher than others are on Parker at this point, but it's based on, like, again, on a lot of research I did, over this past week, getting, my tiers article ready for PFF. But I would put Parker right there. I don't call him as much of a lock for 150 targets as Thielen, but I think he's a virtual lock. I think Diggs is going to be more in the 125 zone, but I expect some big plays. He's still the lead receiver on his team. So you've got 3 guys that are the top options, clear cut, on their team. Parker could get a little challenge from Preston Williams later, but he's got to show he's healthy. So I feel really great about that. You come back and you get some upside with Rager. And then, you've got running back depth, Vaughn, Edmonds, Madison. So you've got your cuff plus 2, potential upside plays. So I think the early side of the draft, was really, really good. It just comes down to those small little moments where you have to take inventory of everything that's happened, and you potentially need to make a pivot. But again, to your point, you can make a great trade, with Newton. So I think overall, like, this draft illustrated some great things from my perspective. What getting these running backs, earlier rather than waiting and having to deal with what some of these other rosters are going to have to deal with. I think that already puts you in a really good situation. And you're going to get to work the waiver wire too. Like we just talked about. It's not like it's over. You get to work the waiver wire.
Yeah, it's not a best ball league. So, well, thanks, Dwayne. I appreciate you getting up early and helping me out here. And for all you other guys out there, enjoy the rest of your weekend and subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Give us a good review on iTunes or wherever you catch the show. And we'll be back next week with another episode of The Hustle. So long, folks. Enjoy the weekend. Go crack a beer. We'll see you.